All right, perfect. Oh, dude, I can't wait for tonight. This is going to be maybe one of our biggest shows ever. Guys, I just want to ask you right now, hit the share button right now because you're going to forget to hit that share button in a little bit. It's going to be nuts. Welcome to episode 61 of the Drag Drive Repeat show presented by Summit Racing. Y'all, again, huge show playing tonight. We got Zach Slevin on. He is recapping the Cruise and Lose escapades. Y'all, they went through some almost tornadoes, to be honest with you. Pretty crazy experience there. I can't wait to hear that. Cliff, Tulsa Madman Parvin is on to talk about announcing and talk about the circuit event because he was our announcer there. So if you were watching last week, you saw he was making comments. We're going to have him on tonight based on that. So I'm excited to hear his side of it from the tower and all the cool stories he has. And then we're going to finish the show out with John Paul Franks and Jonathan Stonecipher to talk about naturally aspirated builds and their experience at the circuit. And I want to give a big shout out right here early in the show. I'm wearing the Central Victorian Dragon Drive apparel that Dave Curtis and Nadine sent to us. I want to say thanks to them for sending that all the way from Australia to here. You have a care package that is on the way to you tomorrow. I promise I'm getting it out there. Eric, will you hit that intro button and let's get this thing started, dude?
Yeah, let's do it.
We're going to pack things up and hit the road and try to make it the next day.
All right, guys. Well, like I said, hit that share button, please, for us as we get in here. Y'all, my name's Mike Narks. I am the host of the Drag Drive Repeat show and news. This episode you're watching now is the show. And for the folks that are listening on the podcast, thank you very much. We've seen a huge bump in the podcast listenership. Thank you so much. You can find us on your favorite podcast app under Drag Drive Repeat. Again, my name is Mike Narks. I just hosted the Circuit Drag and Drive event. We are already working on 2025. I promise it's going to be even crazier. And my co-host, my RHM, Mr. Right Hand Man, Mr. Eric White. Introduce yourself. Tell them what you got going on, dude.
I am Eric White. I am the co-host for both the show and the news. Photographer, took 2,600 photos at the circuit. Still working through those.
Yes.
So I see Johnny Allen in here. Shout out to all the photographers that busted through those photos, because after a full days of work, I'm struggling to get through all these photos, but they're so good. They're so good. I can't wait to release them. So photographer, I do graphic design work for Drag Drive Repeat. I did it for the circuit, other drag and drive events. Back to being a rising creator on Facebook again. That comes and goes. And then when I'm not doing all of that, I'm growing my channel, which is 815 LSX Swaps, which we're just about to cross 3,600 subscribers.
Dude, that's awesome. Congratulations to you. It's been a busy several months. We've been hitting it pretty hard. I would like to say we're going to take a break, but we are not because the season is about to get started. That's for sure. And guys, we can't do all of this without you guys, right? This is what you are what makes this world go round. Our race car friends, the folks that are out there making comments. I see all the folks here in the chat already. Danny Fatka, Johnny Allen, Aaron Roberts, and Fast Ranger Motorsports already making comments for this episode. Thank you so much for that. We appreciate that. And guys, we can't do it without our sponsors. They make the travel possible. They make everything that we do possible here. Summit Racing, Molly Motorsports, Driven Racing Oil, Car Chains 3D, Howard's Cams, Performa Built Transmissions, Sweet Patina, and Racing Junk Classifieds all make this all possible right here. And guys, our newest media partner, PowerTube TV, have you been watching that? Dude, we've been on their podcast channel a lot lately. Every time I turn that on, we are within the next couple hours. So thank you so much for the support to PowerTube PowerTube TV. I want to give a big shout out to them. And if you haven't downloaded that app, please do that right after you get done watching this. Well, like I said, we have a fun show tonight. I see Zach is backstage. Jonathan Stonecipher is backstage. We were talking before the show kind of about the circuit and what we can do for 2025. And y'all, I'm telling you, it's going to continue to grow. It's going to continue to grow. It's going to be great. Well, let's move. Let's move to the next spot here because we got to talk about Summit Racing. Obviously, the presenting sponsor of the Drag and Drive show, the Drag and Drive News, the Drag and Drive Awards show, which happens at PRI every year. The first annual event, the inaugural event happened in 2023. We're doing it again for 2024. I've actually been talking to the lady. We are trying to get in a better location already.
Yeah.
If you sign up for one time and then you start asking for things, I think that's how that works. We took our beatings the first year. Now we're gonna request a lot of different stuff for this next year. But one of our biggest things is to be closer to the Summit Racing booth at PRI because they're our biggest supporter. And Summit Racing Speed Legacy began in 1968 as a one-man startup and is now the world's speed shop. 4 facilities, 200 plus catalog editions, fueling your passion. They save you money, deliver fast, and offer top-notch customer service for more than 1,500 brands. In 2014, they launched the Summit Racing mobile app for easy access to speed parts. Find them on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Also, you can find them on the On All Cylinders podcast for more automotive discussions like what you're listening to now. And from humble origins to the social media lane, Summit Racing stands by your need for speed. Find your next speed parts at summitracing.com.
Hey, we forgot. We didn't even talk about this.
What is that? Tell me.
You becoming the social media manager of Tulsa Raceway Park and Tulsa Speedway.
Yeah, hey, listen, this is a big deal for all of us in the Drag and Drive community. If you guys don't know, Tulsa has been a big part of Drag and Drive community for a long time. 2014 they hosted the Hot Rod Drag Week. There was at least a stop there. I think it was just a stop during that week. For 2014, that started it all. And then Rocky Mountain Race Week is back there again this year. I cannot wait. That is my goal now, is to begin the conversation with local people and the more than 130,000 followers, 140,000 followers of Tulsa Raceway Park, to bring them into the Tulsa Raceway Park for Rocky Mountain Race Week. I cannot wait to show all of those fans all of this stuff. So yes, I did accept that position earlier last week, and then we made the announcement on Monday, and I can't wait. It's going to be so amazing to do that, and we're already seeing some change. We're already growing already from that, and it's only going to get bigger. It's only going to get better, and I can't wait to do what we do here over for Tulsa Raceway Park. So thank you all for the support. Thank you for the phone calls. Thank you for the text messages, and thank you for the kind words on all of the Facebook posts that everybody had out there. So
cool. Yeah, Ethan here saying he does the cars, coffee, and drags there.
Bring it on. But I'm excited to see all the new people. That is the one great thing. We're going to have an opportunity to really meet a lot more people, and my ulterior motive in a lot of that is how do we get drag racers into Drag and Drive? I mean, that's what it is. So I don't know. I'm really pumped about the opportunities that are ahead of us for the Drag Drive Repeat brand, plus the Michael Narks brand. Like it helps us all grow and helps us get bigger and all that kind of stuff. I see Jonathan Stonecipher says 2014 was the host track, and also 2013. So pretty awesome. So it sounds like we need him back. That's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing. So, all right. Well, if you want to, let's start the show out because we have so many guests. Let's start the show out with the Molly Motorsports Co-Pilot Spotlight. So if you'll do the ad read, we can get into talking about Krista and John Long.
All right. Attention high performance enthusiasts and sportsman class racers. Meet the Molly Motorsports Power Pack Kit, your ultimate solution for power pack performance. The Power Pack pistons are either made from 4032 aluminum alloy to allow for tighter cylinder to wall clearances and improved temperature stability, or 2618 alloy to allow for increased detonation resistance. Tailored for various engine families from small block Chevy to Volkswagen and Audi, they've got you covered. What sets them apart? It's forged pistons, graphite coating, and phosphate treatment for peak performance and durability. Elevate your ride with Molly Motorsports, where performance meets precision. Unleash the power within. Visit mollymotorsports.com for more details. And for those podcast listeners, Molly is spelled Mahle.
All right. Well, this week's spotlight is going to be Krista and John Long. One of my favorite cars of race week, this little Chevette with a V6, which is abnormal, spraying a little bit of nitrous, running in the 13.0 index. Super cool. So they flipped seats this year. John was her co-pilot and she's been his co-pilot for a while. So of course we have the Molly Motorsport co-pilot spotlight. Well, Krista submitted some stuff. So when we asked, what makes a good co-pilot, she said a good co-pilot never lets you give up. There will they will even be there if you are the last car going down the track that night. A good co-pilot is someone you can count on until the bitter end. That is so true. And I'll tell you a great thing about them, they are a power couple, obviously husband and wife. Husband and wife teams are pretty rare within the drag and drive community, but
Yeah.
the ones that I see that can make it to two events, they are the power couples of the of the whole community. It's pretty amazing. There's several of those folks that are out there that make that happen. I know that my wife and I could never do that. I know we couldn't. One, she's not a huge car person, but two, man, I get
Yeah.
pretty snippy when I don't have a lot of sleep, and she gets snippy back. So it's pretty wild. Pretty wild.
Fast Ranger Motorsports here saying Molly Power Pack 2618 pistons hold up to 800 horsepower shot of nitrous.
My man. My man. I knew he would know. Well, when we asked to tell a funny story about your co-pilot, she said, I had been John's co-pilot previously and tried to explain the navigation isn't as simple as it seems. The first time the roles were reversed, he thought navigating the route was going to be a piece of cake. At the gas station before we headed out on our first stretch of race week's route, John grabbed a Big Red and some chocolate donuts. By the time we got from Thunder Valley to Texas Motorplex, the quarter drink Big Red he was looking forward to was hot and shaken up from the ride, and most of his melted chocolate donuts ended up under the Kirky seat in the car, and we had to fish them out at the track. That's awesome.
Yeah.
He's her whole story is full of stuff like that, and you can see just on his face how much fun he is actually having there, eating gas station pizza and surviving. That's basically what you do on a drag and drive is survive.
Yeah. I love these co-pilot spotlights to
Yeah.
hear stories like that. That was the whole intention of doing this
Yep.
segment was to get cool stories like that, and this is another killer one. So
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, if you would like to submit your own co-pilot spotlight, I'm going to drop the link in the chat, and then it will also be up on the description after we get done with the episode tonight. I see Dave Curtis says the shirt looks great on you. Thank you very much. I fill out a 2X, probably better than I should. So, and then Wendy Martin, let me tell you, it gets interesting being in a car that many days and hours. Wendy and Lewis Martin are one of the power couples of drag and drive events. They simply, oh man, it's amazing the struggles and the victories they've had over the years. It's awesome. They've been on the show in the past, way back before we called it the Drag Drive Repeat Show. They were on there discussing all of those kind of, I don't know. I hate to say struggles because it's not really a struggle, but with them, they're a power couple for sure. All right. Well,
I just
let's,
real quick, I just had saw something online today that the interview that I did with you on 815 LSX swaps when you announced Drag Drive Repeat just came up at the end of April. So I can't remember if it was 2 years or 3 years ago. I don't remember offhand,
yeah,
but that had just happened. So
yeah,
I thought
that
that was
was,
pretty cool to see.
man, that's great. It was early 2022 when I started Drag Drive Repeat. So
Yep.
it's been a minute. It's been a minute.
Yeah.
Thousands and thousands of posts and pictures and videos and interviews and all that kind of stuff. All right. Well, we're gonna be out of time if we don't move forward. So if you'll do the read for the Driven Racing Oil Events update, we're going to change it up a little bit this week. We're going to actually have guests on to talk about events. So it's not going to be us running through the next 6 events. It's going to be kind of hammer time through these. So if you want to do that, we'll bring on some guests.
All right. Why gamble with performance or protection when you get proven results from Driven Racing Oil? Trusted by top engine builders, winning racers, and devoted horsepower enthusiasts around the world. Driven takes legendary base oils such as the ones from Bradford, Pennsylvania, which comprise their GP1 line. Then, Driven boosts that superior base with state-of-the-art additive packages. Driven's GP1 Nitro 70 not only provides anti-wear protection, but can even shield cylinders from washout and fuel dilution caused by using methanol or nitro-based fuels. Learn more about Driven Racing Oil by following them on Facebook and Instagram at Driven Racing Oil, or shop now at drivenracingoil.com.
That's right. Well, Driven Racing Oil has been a huge part of social media the last few weeks, helping sharing a lot of drag racing coverage and a lot of the drag and drive community. It's been awesome to see all the stuff they've done. So we appreciate them very much. And we're going to bring on Zach Slevin, one of the promoters and hosts of Cruise and Lose here in just a second. One of the crazy parts that I want to run through a couple of pictures real quick. Look at all these people, dude. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear
Yeah,
how
that's cool.
many cars were there, how many people were there, and some of the weather they went through, because that's going to be fun. All right, sir, if you're ready, give us a thumbs up. And oh yeah, here we go. All right, we're going to bring in Mr. Zach. Sir, hang on just a second. We'll bring you. There we go. How about that? How are you this evening?
Doing great. How are you fellas?
Oh
Good.
man, dude, I'm excited to have you back on. You were on the show. What's it been? A year and a half ago, 2 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, it's probably been around there.
Yeah. So you guys put on a heck of an event this last weekend. And I want to, again, give you a huge public shout out here. I know I did that on Facebook making a post, but here in front of everybody, congratulations, dude. You were the only event, I think, that hosted anywhere from Iowa to Texas. Everybody canceled. You guys rocked it out, man. And it was awesome and sad to watch from home. I'll tell you, I was a little heartbroken. I didn't go ahead and make the trip. I told the wife Friday morning, I was like, I need to just get in the car and go. I need to go, but I couldn't make myself do it. So I will not make that mistake again. I will be there for 2025 for sure.
It was a party, man.
Oh, dude, I'll tell you. Well, introduce yourself, and then let's get into it, man. Let's talk about kind of the tracks you guys visited, the classes that you had, and all that.
Well, I'm Zach Slevin. I'm top 3 host of Cruise and Lose. And that's about it, I guess. So we've been doing this, I think, 3 years now. And
Yeah.
It gets wilder every time, I swear.
Yes, that is for sure.
I don't know if you guys want an intro to just like how the event started and stuff, but I kind of got a paper wrote down of all the stuff.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
This event we kind of made on a napkin at a place called Beer 30, which is kind of cool because it's on one of the routes we've taken back, Highway 30, over pizza with my other co-host, Tyler Maggart and Landon Jensen. We came up with the idea because, I mean, if you've been under a rock lately, all the tracks are having problems staying open. I mean, look everywhere. So we wanted to support our local ones that we have, do something fun, and we always thought it'd be kind of nice to have a nice entry-level event for people to do before they dive into a week-long event, because if you've never done this, even a small event like this can be pretty hard on a car, and you got to know what you need to change pretty quick.
Yes. Yeah, I feel like I say it all the time, man. I feel like regional events are the gateway drug into drag and drive. Like, more people should do regional events because it gives you that chance. Or this is a great way for seasoned veterans that are going to race later in the year to add one to their mix.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, but man, right, like for me, it's hard to get time off. It's way easier to take a day off and do a 3-day or 2-day event versus a week. It just that's how I roll, anyways.
Right.
I guess the tracks we visited this time around were I-29 and Kearney Raceway Park again. We did not do Ottawa.
Yep. And you guys had planned to do Ottawa, right? But the rain is what kept you guys on.
Well, yeah, the rain kind of killed it. It was kind of a funny story. When we left the drivers' meeting, we were planning on heading there, and how we got notified was a bunch of our participants started sending us screenshots that the track was closed for the weekend.
Oh no!
So talk about, you just like look at your phone, you go, uh-oh. I think the term was rut-row, Raggy.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, certainly. So I-29 and Carney, I mean, obviously took care of you. Who was the guy that was posting? Which track was it that was like, we're going to be up at 4:30 working on the
That
track? and
is
all that?
Doug Whitworth himself of I-29, and he is one crazy fella. He called me Sunday and said, dude, weather don't look good for Friday. We're doing everything we can to race Saturday. So,
Yes.
and he did. I mean, he was there Friday night sending me videos of him sweeping off the track from the rain so it could dry overnight. And he
That's
woke up
awesome.
at 4:30 a.m. to start prepping, all for the low price of Dunkin' Donuts. I mean,
That's amazing, man. That's amazing. And it just shows that tracks want to race as much as anybody else does.
I
It's
firmly
not like
believe,
they're calling it because they're like, people
yeah,
won't care.
I firmly believe that we have some of the best track management in the United States. I mean,
Yep.
these guys are dedicated, and I mean, just the hours they've got to put in for what they do. I mean, I just think a track manager if you can.
Yeah, oh, for
Yeah.
sure. And the same, like, so how do you figure that out? This wasn't in the notes, but how do you figure that out to tell all the guys that are racing, like, hey, what did you do? Did you change routes? Did you go by Ottawa? Did you change to go
So
by Freeman?
this so actually what happened is we changed routes and changed how we turned in slips all at the same time. So I
Wow.
actually had to do unthinkable things to a hotel manager because I was printing for. I asked her, I said, hey, can I print some copies off? And she said,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
sure. She's like, how many you need? I'm like, oh, 75 or so. And she's like, oh, okay. Hit print 490 pages at 11 o'clock at
Yeah.
night.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. That's I'm putting together a program for promoters that things they're not thinking of with drag and drive, and printing is one of those. Because dude, 490 pages got you through what, one day of routes?
Yeah, that was one day of routes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we it's kind of a funny story. We just took a route that we had used the first year, which had mistakes on it too. So we're just like, guys, we printed this off. Good luck. Like that's all we could do. So
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, okay, so we got the tracks. Huge shout out to the track managers. Definitely anytime you're at a track, please say thank you to them. Let's talk about classes, man. What classes did you have?
850 index, 750 index, 650 index, and small tire. Just kind of the way we've always ran it, and it works good. So
Yeah, and it gives a spot for everybody to be in. They
yeah,
can
I mean, with
they can
8 mile
get in.
tracks, I feel like that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll let something different, but that 750 is kind of a good cutoff with safety requirements. Then 650, and then I feel like if you're faster than 650, turn it up, run small tire. So
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll agree. Well, I was gonna say if somebody's running borderline 650, but it's a little faster, they probably couldn't have competed in small
yeah,
tire. And we're going to talk about that in a second. But yeah.
Cool. So then we saw some posts on Facebook about the weather. Tell us a little bit about how crazy that was.
So, anyways, it all started up with sign up day. Like it was a chance of rain, so we didn't really think anything of it. I mean, it is what it is. Rain is rain. And anyways, sign up day was supposed to be on one of our worst days, and it ended up just being sunny and beautiful, no wind, which is very rare in Nebraska. And anyways, we left the track, and then all of a sudden, we were a little bit running late there, and then we sent the which we'll talk about later, the gravel road debacle. And thanks, Mary. Anyways, then we started getting notifications that basically a tornado crossed the route that we're sending these guys on. And the last I checked, that same tornado had went 50 miles or something, causing destruction. And actually, a guy on the event, it took out his workplace. He worked at a place with 100 people, and he took it out. And he sent me a picture. He's like, well, I might be unemployed Monday. We'll find out.
Dang, that's crazy.
That's wild.
So we're dealing with that. We found out about tornadoes, the track closing. Yeah, everyone went on the gravel road, by the way, besides a guy with a $150 wagon. He didn't want to scratch his rust or pit it or anything. But anyways, that's besides the point. But yeah, so the weather was just horrible. But really, we timed it perfectly, not by planning it, by pure luck, that no one really had to drive through anything bad. I mean, some of them had to do a little bit of rain, but no wind or hail or anything like that.
That's awesome.
And basically, with weather, we I-29, they did the rain or whatever there, and they got it clean, and they gave us a window from 8 a.m. and I kicked everybody out at 2 because the weather was going to roll back in by 3 or 4, and everyone pretty much left and didn't really have to get rained on if they left early. And then Kearney wasn't supposed to be good. I mean, I've helped Joe prep tracks. I used to be a volunteer there, and I'm driving there around, driving. I'm like, I'm driving through torrential downpour right now. This feels wrong. We're going racing. What are we doing here? And I mean, Joe was squeaking off standing water at 10 a.m. and we were racing by 12 p.m. with no sun. We had no sun out pretty much until we stopped racing.
Dang.
Ouch. That makes for a hard track to read for some of these fast cars.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it wasn't ideal conditions, but man, these guys, they just worked and gave us the best they could.
Well, and the thing about drag and drive is everybody has the same track. Like there's no way around that. Everybody has the same track. Well, let's talk about some of the racer stuff because people love breakdowns. People love success stories. So who in, some of your favorite racers, some of your favorite stories from the weekend, what are some of those?
Well, let me pull up this old paper. I had too many.
Yes.
So, let's see.
First of all, how many cars did you have, I guess?
We left with 68, or 68
Nice.
showed up. We had 80 signed. We were sold out. We were sold out and had a waiting list, and we ran through the waiting list because the weather didn't look the best. But yeah,
that's awesome. Is that your biggest event yet with that? Or
I'd have to look. I'm pretty sure it is, though. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I think from last year when you were here, I think that was.
I think we're in the high 50s. I want to say 59 last year or so.
I think so. That's awesome, man. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. So one of our racers named Chad Bartling, he's actually our local track announcer. He had a nitrous backfire in the burnout box, or it might have been staging. I can't remember. And there's actually a video we have of on our drone. But nitrous backfire started the whole underside of his car on fire.
Wow.
Anyways, we backed it out of the staging lanes and, popped the hood. And I'm like, well, nothing's really burnt to a crisp. I mean, it's definitely been heated up. But I think you're all right. And the track manager comes by, looks at him. He said, you just had a nitrous backfire, dude. Fire that up, drive it back. So we unplugged the math and he drove it. He made 2 passes there and drove back. I mean,
that's awesome.
Nice.
Let me see. I got some other ones here. A guy named Jason Dewitt. He had a stick shift S550, and he had changed more axles than I changed underwear that weekend. Pretty sure he sold every parts store in the Tri-Cities out of axles.
I was going to put that picture in here, but I didn't feel like maybe it was that nice. But I do have some folks or some shots.
That
so
is the car right there.
Yeah, while you're talking, I'll flip through some of these. I've only got 4 or 5 of them, but.
And then there's I don't know the last name, but a guy named Max. He has an FD RX-7. And he ended up having apex seals go bad. And he was the last person at the track. We were packing up and the rain was coming in with possible hail. So we ended up basically throwing everything to the front of our event trailer and packing this FD RX-7 in our event trailer and trailered him home. But he thought we were doing it as a favor. But one of our event promoters, Tyler Maggart, just tried lowballing him the whole time on the FD RX-7 the whole way to his house.
Trying to own it.
He will. This is how, basically every 30 seconds. I will own this car. I will own this car. I will own this car. So
that's how the dude's just in the back seat having to just take it. Oh,
yeah,
he's it's not for sale.
Yeah. The guy named Nick Lawson, the guy that won our small tire, anyways, he sent us a video because he was one of the guys that stayed late and had to go through rain. He sent us a video mopping out water in the floor of his car that was like an inch or 2 deep. I mean, just putting shirts in his car, wringing them out and packing them. I thought that was pretty funny.
Tyler,
Everything is for sale.
Yeah. Guy named Aaron Tavener, he has a turbo square body Chevy, and he actually stole one of our tech guys because he's too young to read maps himself. And anyways, we're at I-29, and he ran a basically perfect pass. First pass was a 751. Next
Wow.
pass was an 850. I don't know if it spun or something. He got out of his truck pretty aggressively for some reason and shattered his window, so he couldn't race anymore when he slammed the door. So he had to go home and repair that. So I don't know.
That's awesome.
That's
kind
of what I have for racer stories. Oh, never mind. Our 750 winner. So we did this thing called wild card when we got rid of our third track. So you had to turn in 3 slips, and it does not matter which track you turned in 2 from. And if you bested your previous night, you could turn in. You could take your wild card out and swap it for another pass if you had 2 better or something.
Okay.
It was just something we came up on the fly with. But anyways, our 750 winner only got 1 slip, so I gave him a 10-0 for his wild card, and we ended up graying out all the slips people turned in to keep it interesting. They just got to see the averages. Well, this guy was dead last because no one knew he had a fire pass the first pass. So, anyways, the next day he had 2 fire passes, won the class. So it was kind of funny. Awesome. I mean, went from dead bottom of the board to up top, which if you're in drag and drive stuff, that doesn't happen.
No, not at all. That's cool. I think that's right, perfect to lead us into the class winners, right?
Oh, yep. I can lead us into the class winners. So Nick Lawson.
Eric was going to say something. I apologize.
Okay. I was just gonna pull up Tyler's comment. He's saying Kyle Calkins tried running I-29 out of paper in the time slip box. Did he make a ton of passes?
Yeah, that Kyle Calkins is ultra competitive. He will make passes during an index race until he has a 7.500, and he did it. He did that to get 2 slips that said that. So really? I mean, he was just back and forth. I mean, yeah.
Do you know how many
passes he may have made 15 passes or something. I mean,
wow.
I mean, people got a lot of passes. I mean,
that's great.
If they didn't hit their number, they weren't hitting it.
They weren't trying hard enough.
Yeah, they were running the cars out of the gas or something. But
gotcha. All right, yeah, let's go ahead and let's jump into the class winners stuff then.
All right. Well, we'll go start from small tire. It's Nick Lawson out of Kansas. He's won last year also. And he runs a Camaro he bought when he was 14. And it's got a 416 LS with twin Force Performance 7875s, the TH400 E85, and a Holley ECU. So
that's awesome.
I mean, he's a pretty good guy. Me and him talk a little bit because we both have kind of similar combos with the turbos and stuff like that. Pretty cool guy. He's a lineman. I don't know, just a good old guy.
Right.
Looks like he had a 5.4069 average.
Yep. Actually, last year he was faster, but he turned in 2 slips like that and won it anyway. So no reason to turn it up. Yeah. There's only one other guy kind of close to him, and that was Mark Grote with the Turbo Green Gremlin. So.
Gotcha. Looks like he had a 5.6562 average.
Yep. He was going to try to turn it up, but he had developed an oil leak he couldn't resolve. So he just said, I'm good.
Gotcha.
It's like, I'll take second.
Yeah, I'll take second. Because we ended up when the track closed that we normally don't pay for second, third, but we ended up paying second, third. And then we put an extra donation to each, the Carney and I-29.
That's awesome.
So that's how we did it. So
cool.
650 is Kyle Calkins. I'll try to keep this PG. We have some pretty good jokes for him. So, but he races a 78 Fairmont wagon, has a 200,000 mile 4.8 or 4-point grade in it, 83 millimeter turbo, which is new this year, TH400 9-inch. And it's kind of different being on pump 91 and meth injection. That's pretty cool for something running 650, in my opinion.
Yeah. Looks like he finished with a 6.5079 average with a best pass of 6.5019.
Yeah, like I said, he don't mess around. His guy in second is Bill Bass, and those guys are both local guys, and they go back and forth racing each other. They're always at the end of index races racing each other. So pretty cool that they both entered.
Yeah.
750. I don't know how to pronounce his name. He'll probably flame me on the interwebs later. But Braden Porcorny, he has a 1974 Camaro he built with his grandpa. It's been rotisserie restored. He bought it in high school.
Wow.
It's got an NA 427 LS, a 4L80, a 10-bolt. And what's cool about it is it's got full interior, vintage air, and AC and cruise. I mean, it's
cool.
full on street car, and it's running low 750s NA. I mean, I wouldn't touch it.
That's pretty impressive. I'll put that out there.
I mean, it's full weight car too. I mean, it's pretty cool. I like it.
Yep. It looks like he finished with a 7.5165 average with a best pass of 7.500.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually announcing. I kind of announce once in a while at our events, and I was up there when he did that, and I'm like, oh, he won.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the second place, Aaron Tavner or however. I mean, he wasn't far behind, like a 752 average, 7.5.
Yeah, which the wild card got him too, because the at I-29 he had to turn in an 853 when he broke his window. So he was also on the bottom of the list. So it kind of got some people, but we kind of like it. So
yeah. And then looks like you had, I wanted to give a shout out to some other racers in that class who Steve Smith and Seth Little had a 7.505 pass.
Yeah, Steve Smith, that's pretty cool. It's a full weight Chevelle, big block Chevy built by one of our sponsors, Wishman Performance. And I think a 4L80 built by Corey Petska, which is a sponsor also. And Seth Littrell, I could be wrong, but I believe it's still a stick shift, but there's so many F bodies. Last year was an F body meet pretty much, but
right.
Oh, sweet.
He's actually, Seth is starting a little racing series with cruises called Lenoma Street Series, I believe. So it's pretty cool. The local events. And then for 850, we had a 2000 Camaro for Ray Zadro, and it's a Cam LS1 TH400 and Hollow, pretty simple, generic setup.
Yeah.
And an 851 average, that's pretty salty.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty impressed how hard it was actually to win one of those classes. It wasn't like the winner had an 855 or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because like that 851.34 average for Ray with an 8505 best ET, and then second place, Rudolph
Zinser, I think is the name.
I mean, Ray had an 85134 and Rudolph had an 85181. I mean, dude, that's tight. That's tight.
I mean, I think that comes back. We just got lucky with both tracks. We got to run for. I think I-29 we ran for nearly 5 hours.
Wow.
5-6 hours, and Kearney we ended up 3.5 hours ish. We ran cars, which was good enough. I mean, got to send people home at an early time and stuff like that. Because we had some far drivers, some guys from Southern Kansas, Sioux Falls, and there was another one that I can't remember. I think he came from Minneapolis area or Minnesota area, somewhere around there. But
how cool! Yeah, you guys had a great mix of cars. It was like late model stuff, like the Mustang, and then obviously Kyle Calkins' car. I'm a huge fan of that car. I mean, if you don't like a Fairmont wagon, there's something wrong with you.
There's so many cool stuff. Like have a 1300 horsepower GTR to a J Series supercharged Del Sol. I love that car. It's just he's just begging off the rev limiter, front wheel drive spinning the whole eighth, and it just makes you happy every time you hear him because you just know what's going down.
That's awesome. Well, I know it's probably early in this, but is there going to be a Cruise and Loose 2025? And
there's going to be the 2025 for sure. We're already talking about dates and what we're going to do. We actually are thinking about doing some sort of shootout at Kearney Raceway and maybe 129 or something like that. But James Zazil, that guy, Northern Wisconsin. Bring me some cheese next time. But anyways, we're already thinking about it. Maybe moving it out into later in May or something like that. Try it again. I don't know.
Well,
We're trying to see if there's like any volcanic activity in Nebraska to drive people by that, because we've already had every other weather under the sun. I don't know if we can get a tsunami or something.
that's a good one. Yeah, volcanic activity. That's what we're looking for next time.
Yeah.
Well, dude, I want to say thanks for coming on tonight. Listen, your event is definitely on my list for 2025. Eric doesn't live super far from there, so I think we probably just need to drive up and meet, and do the weekend. I think it would be a lot of fun. I definitely, we had talked about kind of in a group chat with you and the other promoters, kind of a triple crown deal with King of the Open Road, and we're already talking about our dates, which kind of conflicted with yours, sadly,
Yeah.
and so that's kind of why you guys moved around a little bit. So let's work together. Let's all three work together, figure out a time that would work for all of us, and I'd love to do some kind of triple crown deal for somebody that's willing to make all three trips.
Yeah, and my car is kind of up and going again. So I definitely want to try to
Ah,
do some racing. So
yeah,
I've
definitely.
had it out a few times, kind of doing some shakedowns. I went a 560 on 15 pounds, and
Oh, come on.
so we'll try to work that out later this summer. But I'm trying to see if I have anything else that you guys need to know about, because there's so much stuff.
Yeah, there's so much. It's really funny because when people start talking about week-long events, it seems like there's not much time. But in a weekend event, dude, how many miles did you drive? I guess is a great
Oh
question.
man, I don't know, 450, 500 miles, somewhere around there.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Because I know the route back was 219, and I want to say it was 234 there.
Man, that's
Run a
wild.
45. No, he probably means DSM boost. Run 45 pounds. I'll try it.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. There you go.
we ended up stopping at the Museum of Speed, which is right by Speedway Motors in Lincoln, and they ended up
Sweet.
giving everybody free access to that museum, which is 3 floors tall. It's pretty sweet, and
Wow.
That's cool.
that was a great way to 520 miles. Thanks, Marshall. The event promoter don't even know how far I made you drive, but anyways, it was a great way to basically kill a night, with
Yeah,
track closings and stuff. I
that's
want
pretty
to
cool.
see. We talked about pretty much. I just wanted to see if there's anything I missed that you guys absolutely needed to know about.
Yeah, for sure. Well, obviously, folks can find you guys on Facebook.
Yep.
Your
I guess if you
Cruising
wanted,
Boost Pulpit. Go ahead.
we kind of had a guy named Elijah Maleza, which he placed in one of our classes. I want to say 850, a second or third. He got best honker, and then with Speedway, whoever did the tour got a ticket for a gift card. I think it was $300, and he won that too. So he won 3 things at the event.
Awesome. That's awesome. All right, dude. Well, again, we don't need to wait a year to have you on. We need to hear updates on the DSM. We need to hear updates on all the stuff you got going, all the cars you got going on, and then kind of as you guys wrap into dates and things like that for 2025, come back on, man. Keep us updated, and we'll keep everybody out there updated as well.
Yeah, I'm happy to come on as long as you want to listen to me.
But dude,
We need to find out. We need to find out if Tyler gets the RX-7.
Yeah, that if Tyler gets an RX-7 and I go a 4 this summer, we'll come back on.
Yeah,
There we go.
Hey, just if either one of those happens, come
Okay.
back on.
Okay.
We'll talk about it. All right, dude. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you.
All right. Thanks for having me, fellas.
All right,
Yep,
guys.
thanks.
See you. How fun, dude. I'm telling you, we got to make that event next year. Cruise and Lose
Yeah.
25. We're putting it on the schedule already. It's crazy when we start putting stuff out. Like we're putting things on the schedule a year in advance.
Yeah,
that,
I didn't
that we
realize
gotta
it's
make.
they're only about 6 hours from me, so not
Dang.
not horrible when I drove 9 down to you. So
Yeah, it'd have been a hard turnaround. I really looked at it that Thursday night, Friday morning, because it was the only event that was going to be that weekend, and it was like 500 one way, and man, that was going to be tough to get up Friday morning and do that and drive into that
yeah,
kind of weather because everything had been pushed back or postponed or canceled, leading up to that, and I would have driven right through the rain the whole time. Well, guys, listen, let's bring on Mr. Cliff Parvin. I'm excited about this. He is our announcer for the circuit. He was here last year, came back this year with a vengeance. It was so much fun, and I'll tell you before I get on and make him embarrassed a little bit, but him being there elevated the event 5 steps. I'm telling you, it was amazing to have him on site, and I say it's one thing I didn't have to worry about, but y'all, this dude had it figured out. He knew where to go, when to be there, what to
Oh
talk
yeah.
about. I didn't have to worry about anything. And if I came across cool stuff, I could text him, and it was 2 or 3 minutes, and I'd hear it over the announcement. It was really cool having him there. So we're going to bring him on, and we'll talk about his experience at the circuit. Mr. Cliff Parvin, the Tulsa Madman, how are you this evening, sir?
I'm amazing, guys. Thanks for having me on tonight. You broke my podcast cherry. This is my first deal ever, so
Oh
thanks,
wow.
guys. I
No
appreciate it.
way. Dude,
Yeah.
as all the stuff you've done over the years, I can't believe this is the first podcast you've been on.
Yeah, no, so it's a great pleasure and a great honor to be on you guys' podcast first. Y'all put on a great event, one of my special types of events. I love street cars and streetcar accessories, and obviously Drag and Drive plays into that well. And your event is about the right length. I mean, it's not enough to just completely beat you to death, but it's good enough to get your feet wet and understand what it's all about. So thanks for putting on that great event, and thanks for having me for the second year in a row back for your show. And you say you made it easy for me. You got the list of things together that I needed. Your prep work on the front side made it easier to do my job, and I appreciate that, man.
That's great to hear. And it will only get better as time goes on. It will only get better, I promise.
Oh, as it did already. You know, the first year I was kind of a stranger in a strange land. I mean, I knew some of the people and some of the stuff, but the second year it jumped in, and it was an amazing event, and some really cool cars and cool people. Some of my favorite people on the planet. Jonathan Stonecipher, obviously, a big player in this deal. So it was a great year or a great event this year, and I definitely look forward to next year already.
Yep. Oh yeah, dude. You know you're signed up for next year on my side for sure.
Well, I appreciate it, man. I really do.
That's awesome. Well, let's talk about who you are and what you do, and then let's get into kind of the circuit and some other stuff. So introduce yourself, tell everybody what's going on.
Well, I'm the Tulsa Madman, Cliff Parvin. If you're playing along on Facebook, Bill Caps now, thanks to Meta. Long story on that deal, but I grew up pushing a Volkswagen, driving a mini truck, wanting a Mustang in the salvage yard, and I'm a car guy through and through. There really wasn't another path for me to do anything but, hang out around racetracks and do race car stuff with my race car friends. I started at Tulsa Raceway. I started at Tulsa Raceway Park. If anybody remembers Denise there, one night I didn't want to work at a racetrack, but the Throwdown in T-Town was coming up, and she was like, Cliffy, I need a spotter. So I started as a spotter at Tulsa Raceway Park, just kind of volunteering, worked my way into tech, water box, then the starting, and our midnight drag announcer, Chris Wooten, rest in peace, sir, decided he was too old for the job. And so he stepped down, and it sat open for a few weeks, a month maybe, and everybody there was like, hey, you're kind of smart aleck, and you like cars, and cars, and people, and this is kind of your deal. Well, I stepped up to the plate, and the rest was kind of history on the announcing deal.
Yeah.
And I asked Chris, I said, after I'd been doing it a few weeks, I said, how old are you, Chris? And he was actually a month older than me. That was it. So he was too old for the job, and I was just right for the job. And I had a blast doing that. I did it for several years, promoted that show. It grew from just announcing to promoting to cutting radio ads. And I felt like I built the program up pretty nicely, and awesome. Eventually stepped away to start traveling with Import Face Off, which was another great event that travels the country. I think they do 37 or 38 shows a year. Yeah. And Cliff hired me on to come along for that ride. And I flew all over the country and got to see some really cool stuff with him for a while. And when COVID hit, I decided that I didn't really want to fly anymore. And I had already been working with the guys over at Streetcar Takeover, a great group of guys, Chase and Justin and everybody involved. And kind of went that direction and been doing that. I also announce FL2K. I do the circuit. I do a lot of little odds. That's with Adam Dory last year. That was a great show, and I got to know him a little bit better. Funny story, I've followed Drag and Drive forever, obviously, and one year his deal was coming through, and I was like, man, yeah, I'll get up in the tower and I'll help you out. And I am one of the most unprofessional professionals out there. Like I say the quiet part out loud. I really don't keep stats. I'm horrible with names. I show up and I like to party, and then I blow out like a warm summer breeze. Well, I walked into Adam's tower and he's up there on his spreadsheet and he's doing all these times and entering things in and announcing. And I was instantly mind blown. And I was like, well, you have this, sir. You've got this locked down. I'll just go watch some drag racing. So, but getting to meet him down there at the Mod Nats and working with him some, I look forward to doing that again. But yeah, I travel the country and try to announce drag racing, and I have a good time at it. I do it with my wife, Nikki Baker. We do it in the Spark Force One. Like I said, we quit flying during COVID. That enabled her to jump in the passenger seat, come along for the ride. She loves this stuff just as much as I do. I met her at a drag strip. She thought she would get a job out there and get to see some drag racing. Well, they put her in the concession stand, and well, anybody that's ever worked in the concession stand, you can't see anything, you can't hear anything, you can't be a part of anything. But now she gets to travel the country and hang out, and she is my right hand, just like Melissa is yours. You know, the unsung heroes that take all the notes and do all the things and keep the wheels greased up and moving along. So I'm grateful for her, and I'm even more grateful that she's got to come along for the ride since 2020 and sit in that passenger seat and enjoy all the places and things we've done.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, let's talk about second year to announce. I want to hear like favorite cars. I want to hear some favorite racer stories, all that kind of stuff.
Boy, the Prospector, Bob's little Chrysler deal, that thing is about as cool as the other side of the pillow, man. It's got all the lace work. I also do custom paint work. I forgot to mention that, but I do a lot of the airbrush headlights and stuff. And when I walked on the scene and saw that thing with the tinted plexiglass and the lace and all the lettering and the gold leaf, and it was right in my wheelhouse, and it pops monster wheelies. One is class. That was probably hands down my favorite ride. It really checked all the boxes. The little 57 wagon that was just kind of grungy, that had the blower and the stick shift and the small block, that thing was sick. I mean, that's the little handyman getting things done, on a drag and drive and family unit. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and what's really cool about that rig is they tow their front engine dragster with that car to the track. Like, they're the coolest couple I know, man.
That's why I was in the tower with Carl at Mocan. I was like, yeah, that thing's like straight out of like 1969. He's like, more than you know, man, more than you know. So he told some of those stories, and that just made it even cooler for me. Yeah. I've always kind of liked the gasser stuff and the front engine dragsters, and to me, it was a time when people really didn't know how to go fast. There wasn't a recipe. There wasn't it was trial and error, make your own parts, do your own thing. And that's why I like that type of stuff. It's also why I like the Honda cars and import face-off, is those kids were given a car that there was no conventional wisdom on how to make them fast, and they figured out how to make them fast, and they made their own parts, and they done it. To me, it was kind of a rebirth of hot rodding. Yeah, Pat, your Busa is pretty cool, but I'm a Grom guy. I've still got one. But yeah, talk about Iron Man, seeing him chime in there. Let's see,
2,300 miles in a weekend on a Busa,
no trailer, all the way. I didn't think you could get that far away from Oklahoma or from Kansas in Texas. Like, when he was the longest traveled rider or person in the event, and we had people from Colorado and all over everywhere, I was like, let's do the math on that again. But sure enough, on a Hayabusa with no trailer and just Iron Manning it out, that's pretty rad. That's Stonecipher's car. Obviously, I've been around that car since it was Todd Kitchens. It was cool seeing Todd there with his family, his daughter and new husband, both of them racing, and Todd going along for the ride. But that Nova of Stonecipher's is it's kind of an icon where I'm from. I've watched that car go from nitrous to Pro Charger to turbo back to nitrous. And then Stonecipher got it, and he's had everything under the hood, from all motor stuff to whatever you can imagine. So that car always been a favorite. Man, there's just a ton. I love them all. That's the problem. Is like it's hard for me to pick a favorite because it's like playing cars. You just throw out the box of Hot Wheels, and obviously you wanted them all for a reason at one point or the other. So
That's right. That's right. Well, let's talk about some. Oh, there we go. Man, I don't know. There we go. Okay.
Caller, you're on.
Yeah, right. Sorry, it was a little glitchy here on my side. I hope it wasn't for everybody else. But let's talk about some racer stories. What stuff did you hear about? What stuff did you enjoy talking through as you progressed through the weekend?
I didn't really. I'm a weirdo on the. I don't like to intrude on people's space when they're having a bad time.
Yep.
I did pull over for Kuda Rick and Sharma. They were having some cooling problems, or it ended up being some valve train problems. Tried to talk to them for a minute. I pulled over and talked to Red Hot Scotty, another cool dude. Him and Keaton had it out for each other all weekend as a friendly little back and forth, which, that stuff makes what we do fun. As an announcer,
Oh yeah.
when you can build on someone's story and Keaton may or may not have taken the big red hat off of Scotty's trailer. And I woke up to that and I was tagged in the post and I started reading it, and down about 10 or 15 comments, Keaton was like, "Is there a reward for the hat?" Instantly. I was like, sus. These guys, they're sitting right next to each other. There's been not bad blood, but there's been some banter back and forth. And I'm like, yeah, this deal's reeking of a fellow competitor here. So let's just don't get too crazy and too carried away. And they handled it like gentlemen. He got his hat back, and then Scotty drug him, and made it happen. So it's cool to get to see stuff like that and hear the stories. Get to meet those guys a little better, because like I said, I like sitting in the tower and kind of not being the puppet master, but kind of being the puppet master, just kind of seeing it all work and not really being hands-on involved. When I was doing the midnights, I was hands-on involved, and sometimes you get what you want, you never want it again,
Right. I can appreciate that. Where you're running around with a folder trying to get everybody's name and backstory and all the stuff. That can be.
And your wife is behind you trying to take notes as fast as she can, and she's getting frustrated with you because you missing every other word. And like I said, those unsung heroes. And congratulations on the job at Tulsa. Like that's.
Hey, I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
That's a good deal. And like I said, that's where I started my whole process. So congratulations on that, man.
Well, I appreciate that a bunch. I'm really excited to be able to kind of highlight, I have felt like looking at the history of the social media of the track, it's been the next event, of course you probably know Jimmy's like, what's the minimum but most impactful thing I can post about, and that's the next race. What's the next race coming up? So it's going to be great to be able to kind of do what we do here at Drag Drive Repeat for all of the other drag racers that are over there.
Yeah, they definitely need someone to step in there and give it a passion or something. When I left, I felt I offered that, and but I wanted to move on to bigger and better things and try what I've done. And like I said, it's afforded me to travel the country and do what I love. So it's good to see somebody that'll step in there. And not that there hasn't been people in between, then and now, but I look forward to what you do with it and making it happen for you. I know you have the passion for what we do, because if you didn't, you would have quit a long time ago, because it's not an easy job. It sometimes it takes everything you have just to do what we do. And
I'll say that for sure. Yeah, sometimes there's a moment where you're like, do I really want it this bad?
Oh, I mean, I'll get in the car, and even after a good show, I'll quit 3 times on the way home. I never want to do this again. That was crazy. Did you, and Nikki's like, yep, all right, okay, cool. And the next thing you know, we're headed down the road to the next deal. We've had 2 streetcar takeovers rain out. I was supposed to go to Bristol, Tennessee this weekend, 88% chance of rain there, and storms all the way there and all the way back. And those guys made the right call. And then, we had the Kansas City party postponed until next weekend, so we get to go up there and hang out and party with those guys at that brand new Flying H drag strip up there in Kansas City, Missouri. I'm looking forward to that. I was sincerely bummed when that didn't happen, but it's kind of a blessing in disguise, and we'll do it again this weekend. But when you call a race because of rain, all the internet warriors make you doubt your job. They get on there and they call you anything but a good man, and
Yeah.
they make our job pretty hard. And
Yeah.
you know, with the drag and drive stuff, you never know.
Yeah.
You know, you don't know if all the tracks are going to be players. Like was up in Nebraska
Yeah. I mean,
and everything. I'm glad those
Mhm.
guys got their show off, you know, and got to do, because rooms get rented, things, that ball gets set in motion, and a lot of people don't understand that there's sometimes tens of thousands of dollars that have already exchanged hands and have already done things that can't
Oh,
be,
yeah.
you know, taken back.
Yeah.
And when you have to make that tough call and say that, well, it's raining, we can't drag race in rain, you get chastised sometimes. So everybody that does
Yeah.
what you do and what we do, hats off to you guys. And you know, with the passion, I'm sure you'll bring something back to Tulsa Raceway Park. You'll help further Tulsa Raceway Park and
Yeah.
in their plight, and get them back to
Thanks.
good, hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
excited to have this opportunity and just continue to push.
Yeah, and it's a new exciting endeavor. You know, you never know,
Yeah.
you know, where you're going or what you're doing a lot of times in this stuff. And like, my schedule is open at the end of the year or the first of the year. I know that I have Streetcar Takeover. I know I have Circuit Drag and Drive. I know have FL2K. But past that, you know, I leave my schedule pretty wide open, and I play it by ear. And
Yeah.
you know, if somebody give me a month or two in advance, and it's a pretty cool show that I like, that I can get behind, I will definitely do it. And you know,
Sweet.
that's how I get most of my jobs. I'm not huge into pro mods and all that stuff, but I've been there and done that, and I've done some bracket races, some big bracket races.
Yeah.
I've done all that stuff, but really, I do it for a good time. And really, the street cars and stuff like that, that's my favorite. You know, and that's why
Yeah.
you'll always find me at
Anytime
events like
somebody,
yours. Ice Cream Cruise, there's
right?
another great show at I-29 that I do.
Yeah.
So Ozark was a new track for you. What'd you think about Ozark?
I loved it, man. That place has so much history with Street Machine Nationals, and oddly enough, that track was the only track. I went to Salisaw Outlaw, and that track, and those are the only two tracks that I've actually paid at the front gate and went in to watch a drag race at. And I did that a few years ago because I was invited by Sean Melton, Urban Hillbilly, and we went up there and hung out and watched a pretty good little small tire race with him. But this time I got to go back and unlock that bucket list, got to get in the tower and call some action, and that's always fun. You know, it's the little things like that that make all this stuff, you know, worthwhile to me. Like, it's not always the biggest, baddest corporate track. I've been in, you know, ZMAX, I've been in Vegas, a lot of times I like those little tracks with the feeling and the, you know, the vibe, whatever you want to call it. That makes it worthwhile, and that place definitely has it. I hope that I can work with them in the future on some of their cool events and stuff that they put on. That'd be pretty cool. And like I said, Salisaw, you know, that place had a whole vibe. And
Yes.
I missed that track. It's coming back, so keep your eyes open for that if you don't already know. And places like that, I describe them as where a kid can be a kid, and that's what I like. You know, the people in the pits, they ain't afraid to talk to you. They're not afraid to move around and make friends, and you know, share a part, or maybe get into a fist fight. You know, you never really know. But I like those kinds of places, and I look forward to going back, man. I hope that I have a lot more opportunities up there, and maybe your event opened that door.
That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. It'd be well deserved for sure.
Yeah, the good group of people up there for sure. They kept cars. Well, every track we went to, they kept cars in the water box. I mean, it was humping and bumping, man. They knew what we had to do. We had cars make 27 runs, 23 runs, you know, and they moved them through, and they got it done. Love to see a well-oiled track like that, just hustling and getting things done.
Yeah, one thing that Brad did say, Brad and I think and Kevin both at Ozark, it was Kevin. Sorry, at the end of the day, when we were settling up and stuff, he was like, "This event just ran so smooth."
Yeah.
He's like, everybody knew kind of where they needed to be. They listened to Cliff. It was like, he's like, it was just so smooth. It was great. And I can't give a shout out enough to everybody that was at the event that listened to all of your announcements and talking about that stuff and just made it. It was wow. It was pretty cool.
No, y'all have a great group of racers. That core group that you have, what did we end up having? 180, I think, this year? Was it somewhere
161? Yep.
161 by the end of the day. You know, that core group of racers and that amount of people really make it special. You can grow it to 200, 300, 800, but really, you know, at what point does the juice not worth the squeeze, you know? And, you know, having the people that you like around you, doing the things that you love, you know, people that can go to Chicken Annie's and all sit under the same roof. I had some serious Cannonball Run vibes. You know, you walk in, the wood paneling, you know, I could hear him tuning the Tropicana car outside, you know, Mel Tillis. And I just had those feels when I walked in that place. And it was great to have us back for the second year in a row, and knowing that we're a handful and serving up some of the best chicken that I've ever had. So big shout out to Chicken Annie's and the vibe that they put off. Like, everything was just smooth. Everything was fun. Everything was, you know, just the right amount of smack talk. I got to see that sexy beast Jungle Fro. Like, I mean, just there was just so much that went on that, you know, it makes that event, you know. And if you wasn't there, you're watching this, you're definitely wondering what we're talking about. And I can assure you, it was a good time. Like,
well, and again, big shout out to Laramie here and Fro for doing that. Dude raised almost $1,000.
Yeah, dude,
insane
he
for dressing up like Jungle Pam. I mean, that's what I don't think people understand that are out in the world that didn't attend the circuit. Like, when they see those pictures, they're like, what the heck kind of goofy shit is that? But man,
right?
I'm telling you, that dude to put that on, big heart to do that with. And then we just walked around and I mean, I made people dig in their wallets. I was like, I'm not leaving your car until you get that wallet out. Let's raise some money for the kids. Yeah.
And I mean, I got to watch a grown man rub suntan lotion on another grown man with a wig. You know, that was worth its weight in gold right there, boys and girls.
Yeah.
He only raised $1,000.
Yeah, that should have been 1,000 right there.
No doubt.
That's awesome.
So did you get to end up hitting any of the route stops throughout the week?
Yeah, I hit most of them. Again, a lot of times I'm just kind of off to the side. I realize people are there trying to get their pictures taken and do what they have to do to make this thing happen. I have a nice camera. I should have packed it. Like, I went out and spent a bunch of money on a camera several years ago, and I took some great pictures with it. But I get caught up in the moment. Like, I'm not a great capture of memories. Like, to me, they just all go in my mind, and I have a good time. So yeah, we got to hit most of it, and driving down old 66. That's been my jam since I was a little kid. Dad always wanted to own property on 66. Like, to me, that's, you know, the United States, our mother road, our main street, you know, and that made a lot of it worthwhile. Going to Branson and riding the go-karts and having 80 pizzas that were devoured in about 80 seconds, you know. That was great. That brought back childhood memories. We used to go there every year for our summer vacation, you know. And so the memories and all the stuff that went on, it definitely checked all the boxes, man. It was my wheelhouse. Y'all put together a great event. Some of the places we stayed, you know, there's Nikki right there. She's, like I said, my right hand man. I had a great event, man. And
thank you.
Yeah, it does all the things, and I want to encourage, you know, more people to get involved. But I don't want it to get so big that it loses that feel, you know. And if it does, we need to strive to make it have that feel with more people. And there's a lot of other great people that hold Dragon Drives that still do that. But when it starts getting that corporate feel and that funky, you can find an edge on it and you can't really taste the passion anymore. It's time to relook. And your deal was perfect.
Well, I appreciate that for sure. We spent a lot of time. I mean, Eric and I talked about it daily for 9 months solid.
Oh, just 9 months?
I yeah, I will say that yeah, before that it was just me talking to myself for
Yeah,
3
that's
months
always fun, isn't it?
before I wore Eric out about it. I will say that, and this isn't, I haven't made this big public yet, but we will be keeping it around 150 cars for 2025 for sure. Just because I feel like that's a number that everybody has an opportunity with 2 passes per day.
Yep.
It would have been pretty tough to get 200 cars into the 4 hour window that we had on Sunday. And I kind of want to keep that kind of time frame. So, 150 cars for 2025 for sure. We'll look at 2026 as we get close to 2025. So,
And the road weaker type people,
yep,
that just want to come along and get a
yep,
feel for it. And if at the end of the day,
yep,
possibly there is time for them to get a run,
yep,
maybe because there is that lull, like at Ozark, where we had 7
yeah,
cars going ahead and finishing out their passes,
yep,
and if you've never been down a drag strip in a car, it's pretty cool, even in something
yeah,
slow, it's like
yep,
being under the Friday night lights, it makes your heart beat a little faster and it makes you do
yep,
things a little weird. And, if you do want to get involved in drag racing, you need to make that first pass somewhere. And,
yeah.
maybe involve some road weekers or that,
Yeah, we
that
are
type
we
of
are
stuff. But
certainly adding. Yeah, we're definitely adding a road week kind of deal. The biggest thing we didn't add it with this year is probably too much knowledge, but the reason we didn't add it this year is because I couldn't figure out in time, by the time I'd made the decision to add that I want to have parking. I want to have all the specialty stuff that goes along with that. Meals, special shirts, all that kind of stuff. I wouldn't have had time to get that put together before the 2024 event. So we will definitely have that worked out for 2025. I'm already excited about that. That's because
yeah,
that's kind of like that's my jam, is taking care of those folks.
yeah. And thanks for not jumping off into something that you knew you couldn't make happen. A lot of
Yeah.
promoters do that. Like, oh no, we can make it happen in the last minute. And, you stand on your own feet when you start doing that stuff and you start hearing things like never again. And I won't do this. And,
Yeah.
uh, that's a good call. And, make it fun for everybody. Make it an event. Like this is what we do, and to have people involved. The guy that got me involved in all this, Jeff Holloway Race Cars and Broken Arrow. Um, he promoted the Mako series. He's now PDRA tech. He's, does a lot of stuff. And he said, first and foremost, what we do has to be a social event. People have to come. They have to have a good time. The cars are just kind of like the fight at a hockey game, like you want to see them and you want it to
Yeah.
happen. But like, if you're there having a good time with your friends and family, that stuff's kind of secondary, and that's the way it needs to be, really. I mean, you got to have a good time first and foremost. You can't be that kid at the high school dance standing in the corner going, this sucks,
Yep.
because a couple of those turn the whole tree bad. And
Yep.
so again, thanks for stepping off that and really planning for 2025 to make that happen. I look forward to it.
Yeah, dude, it's going to be awesome. Johnny Allen is messaging me here in the background, talking about already trying to figure out how he's going to make it to Tulsa to get some pictures. That dude, he's a stud, man. To be 14 years old and out taking
Yeah.
10,000 pictures, and he's been putting out some just fire photography stuff. It's been amazing.
Well, just to have the passion for what we do, like I said, I grew up in this stuff, and I knew there wasn't another reason. There wasn't another outlet. Like, I tried having a real
Yep.
job. I tried doing real things, and all work and no play makes Cliff a dull boy. So just to see somebody that's that young to have the passion and want to get
Yep.
out there and capture some images and look at things from a different perspective. Maybe he's
Yep.
shooting things that other people are not. The media coverage at your event was second to none. Of course, Chris Story,
Thank
my
you.
boy, holding it down, and
Yep.
he sees things and captures images that,
Yeah.
they're just like you're there. Eric, you did a great
Yeah.
job. Everybody there did an amazing job, and it's cool to see everybody's take on it, because everybody's take is just a
Yep.
little bit different. They might be standing on the same side of the track, the same wall, but what they see and what
Yep.
they capture, is, all individuals, and without media, what we do, people wouldn't see this. We live in a great time now where they can take their pictures and put them on their page. Then they get shared to their media page. Then they get shared to
Yep.
your page. And that that's worth its weight in gold. You
Yeah.
you can't pay enough for that, and a lot of these guys are volunteering. They're trying to share
Yep.
picture packages, sell picture packages. So if you've got a great shot that one of these guys or gals took this weekend or a couple weekends ago, reach out to them, buy a picture.
Yeah.
I know they're not buying film like they used to, but they definitely take their time, and they try to share what we do. So take your time and go check them out and
Yeah.
buy a picture.
Yeah, and I see all the photographers in here making comments. Eric rented a minivan this year. We are going to work out some way that if folks wanted to ride with us, that they could. We're going to work out some kind of media deal. That was kind of my plan going in. Tim Gorley of GoPass is really the only one that took us up on it. But moving forward, that is a plan. Like if we got to have 2 or 3 vans to run
Yeah.
people around and get those roller shots and stuff like that, we're going to do that. So.
No,
And
and those rollers.
if we got to run to like 1 or 2 route stops and bring them back to their car, we're going to figure that out too. We're going to have some. This year was a huge learning experience. It was amazing to have that many people there, and now I know what we need to do. We need to get
Yep.
those people in cars so they can get those shots, and then they got to get back to their car too. So
Yeah, those
Or
rollers
Walmart
only happen
stops.
on drag and drive style events. You can't
Yeah.
get that anywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
People get out and drive their cars, and they want that documented. They wanted that.
Yeah.
And boy, you had a great team.
Thank you. It was really amazing to do that. Eric was a big part of. I mean, he was the right hand man. I mean, he was the one that if I had social media questions or anything, it all went to him. And then Chris Story, I think, laid the groundwork for what we will do in the future. Chris is our official photographer of the circuit for sure, and then I would probably almost say our official photographer for Drag Driver Pete, just because we use so much of his photos moving forward. All right, well, we got to wrap up with you because man, we got naturally aspirated stuff to talk about. Where can people find you? Where can they follow you? Where can they see you? All the stuff you're doing, dude.
Really, basically, I'm Tulsa Madman on YouTube, Bill Caps on Facebook. Haven't started another Instagram. Thanks, Meta. Love you, mean it. Yeah, I just move around, and you can catch me at a race near you. Like
Yeah.
when you hear somebody that's a smart ass and talking a little trash and a little brash and having a good time, that's probably me. I like to party. So yeah,
That's
just
awesome.
out in the wild mainly.
Cool. Well, dude, thank you so much for coming on tonight. I appreciate it. And hey, like I tell most everybody, but certainly you this time, this will not be the last time you're on this live stream with us, man. I want to definitely have some serious more conversations. The biggest thing with a guy like you and your resource is that you can help us be better. Eric has an opportunity to do some announcing at Buyer and Dragway. With my position at Tulsa, I could probably get on the mic sometimes if I wanted to, things like that. So it only helps in us knowing a guy like you with your experience, dude.
Well,
If I
appreciate
can
you
be a
guys.
tenth of what you are, man, we'll be good.
Man, there's somebody in a tower somewhere that has a wife and kids that can't travel, that can't do what I do, that's 100 times better than me. They're out there. They do a great job, and hats off to all those guys. And I appreciate you guys for having me on and having me along with the circuit again. And I look forward to it. And yeah, text, call anytime you want, man.
Yeah, dude. All right, man. Thanks so much. We'll see you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Yep. See ya.
All right. Well, dude, I really appreciate Cliff coming on and talking about all that stuff. I see Chris White here. Yeah, made it
Yeah, I
home
didn't
from
know
the
if you saw
circuit
that.
5 days later. Drove half a mile, chucked a piston, and ride. Dude, that's insane.
Yeah.
That is insane. So some roadside repairs or something. I got to get that story from him. Chris, message me that story, dude. Let's talk. Message me your number. I'll call you. Tomorrow we'll talk about all that kind of stuff. All right. Well, we got a couple people we got to thank, of course, before we do this. And then I definitely want to bring on Jonathan and John Paul Franks. So let's jump in here real quick. Sorry, I'll bring up the slides. Almost there, I promise. All right, guys, I want to say thank you so much to our race car friends. Thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out. Guys, hit the share button one more time for us real quick. It's a big deal. It's a big night for us. We've never had 4 guests on, and you can tell we're going to go over already. So thank you for being our race car friends. Thank you for making this possible. Thank you so much to our sponsors, Summit Racing, Driven Racing Oil, Molly Motorsports, Car Change 3D, Howard's Cams, Performa Built Transmissions, Sweet Patina, and Racing Junk Classifieds. Dude, did you see Racing Junk Classifieds has the new Drag and Drive segment for your when you're putting up a listing or searching for a listing. That's a huge win for the Drag and Drive community. And of course, our newest media partner, PowerTube TV. Those guys are amazing. If you guys don't know, it's a great spot for us to watch, for you to watch this and other exclusive content put out by us and many, many other automotive, I don't know, automotive entertainers. I would say entertainers. That's probably a great way to do it. And guys, the gentleman's agreement is that, listen, we love what we do. We truly do. I do this day and night, every day. Eric does this every day, every night, listens to my messages, all that kind of stuff. But we can't do it without you. Like, this isn't free. This is expensive. It takes a ton of time to do it. So, as a kind of gentleman's agreement, trade back and forth, I will say, we'll keep doing this side of stuff, but you guys, come on now, hit the follow button, hit the subscribe button, wherever you're watching this, do that for us, help us grow. And if you're on the podcast, man, leave a review. Come on, we got to get some of them, help us grow over there and introduce the world to more Drag and Drive people. All right, well, if you'll hit the, if you'll do the PowerTube TV ad read, and then our boy Harris at the Monoxide Podcast actually recorded us a Howard's Cams video. I'm going to go use the restroom for a moment. I got to pee. So I'll let you handle those two, and then I'll be right back.
All right. So we are excited to partner with PowerTube TV, the ultimate streaming destination for automotive enthusiasts. Created by enthusiasts for enthusiasts, PowerTube TV is revolutionizing the way you experience automotive programming. You'll find replays of this show that you're watching alongside exclusive content from us and other automotive content creators. PowerTube TV is a place to watch classic shows like Pink's All Out, and Pastime make their triumphant return alongside reboots and original content. PowerTube TV is more than just a streaming platform. It's a community, a launch pad for emerging builders and racers through their content creator development program. Join forces with talented partners and showcase your skills to the world. Join us on PowerTube TV and experience the thrill of automotive entertainment like never before. Speed, power, and community await you. Find out more at watchpowertubetv.com. And like Mike mentioned, we have a Howard's Cam video. So obviously we're going to jump into the Howard's Cam community segment. Howard's Cam is our official valve train of Drag, Drive, Repeat. So let me go ahead and pull up that video. And
hello, ladies and gentlemen. Harris from the Monoxide Podcast. Real quick, Howard's Cams was founded as a racing cam manufacturer almost 80 years ago when Howard Johansson created Howard's Power and Racing Equipment in 1945. Howard's Cams has always used on-track experience to design the most powerful designs, and today they have an even greater group of experienced racers in circle track, drag racing, road race, mud bog, and marine. They use all this input plus the most advanced computer software to design the most competitive race-winning products. From pioneers in drag racing and oval track to cutting-edge marine development, Howard's Cams is at the forefront of the industry. So make sure to reach out to our friend Luke B for your next valve train upgrade.
Oh,
all
perfect. Right. Dude, I feel way better. That was getting uncomfortable, to say the least.
Yeah, we almost need like a intermission in the show for
Bro, I needed it then for sure. Maybe that's a good idea. I don't know. I like telling more stories if we can. Well, listen, for this week's Howard's Cams community segment, y'all, we're talking to two naturally aspirated guys about their experience at the circuit, plus their thoughts on I have here using Mother Nature's atmosphere to make power, because these guys don't like boost, they don't like nitrous, they don't, or for their builds they're talking about tonight, they don't use nitrous or boost or anything like that. John Paul Franks is our current all motor small block class champion from the circuit, and also the promoter of Heads Up Hustle, a drag and drive event with a heads up twist. I thought that's going to be a fun event that I'll be announcing at. And then Jonathan Stonecipher is like our resident naturally aspirated expert. I would say he's the guy we go to when we have questions and things like that. So having him on to discuss, builds and the processes he uses in selecting parts and pieces for his and his customers' cars. So let's bring them on. I want to have them do, like intros, talk about who they are, how they got here, all that kind of stuff. So Mr. Jonathan Stonecipher, good evening, sir. And I'm bringing on John Paul Franks here as well. I think probably the easiest way to do this for folks that are watching at home is that we'll go bottom to Jonathan Stonecipher, and then we'll go over to John Paul Franks down there on the side for questions and answers, if that will work for you guys. So yeah, I know it's backwards, dude. That should be down, but it's not. It's the other. So Jonathan, tell us who you are, and then what you brought to the circuit this year.
Okay. I'm John Stonecipher. Most of you guys know me. I'm longtime Drag Week and Rocky Mountain Race Week participant. I participated in all of Michael's events from the very first one, including the ones that weren't Dragon Drives. And then just me and Michael, longtime friends. And this year, I kind of surprised everybody. I'd actually planned on bringing a nitrous powered vehicle and trying to run my first 8 and go after the 275 class. But as things happen, it didn't. And I just dropped a message to Michael, and Michael and my wife and like 2 other people knew. And I showed up and brought the car in an enclosed trailer and then unloaded it, and nobody knew that I was bringing the Nova. So
yes. And the Nova is right here, if everybody was wondering. I showed a picture earlier when Cliff was talking, but bro, I love that car. Spent some time in it, tried to take a nap in it. We talked about that last time you were here.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, John Paul, if you'll tell us same kind of stuff, man.
Yeah, so my name's John Paul Franks, and I'm the promoter of Heads Up Hustle. It's a Heads Up drag and drive event in Michigan, basically every summer now. This will be our second year doing it, but I'm pretty new to drag and drives, to be honest. Sick Week 2022 is my first ever time drag racing or doing a drag and drive.
Wow.
I built this Mustang that's behind me here. I was going to do Rocky Mountain Race Week in 2021. Was entered, had the car almost ready to go, and got COVID and had like 103-degree fever for a week, so didn't go. Then ended up doing Sick Week in 2022 and had a great time. Finished, which was the goal, and ran like a 960 average. And then I honestly, this next drag and drive I've actually been to was your circuit, the race. So I've only done 2 drag and drives, finished both of them, but I'm a newbie. So I do some heads up racing with the car behind me as well. And that plus my love of doing drag and drives is sort of where Heads Up Hustle came from. So
that's awesome. Well, I want to talk about the thrash that Jonathan Stonecipher did real quick, because dude, it was, you say that, oh yeah, hey, but it was like April 1st when you were like, I'm going to bring the car, or maybe it was after that you told me that. And again,
it was
the event
actually
is the 19th.
April 1st, I was ready to pull the plug on the truck. It was, I had some valve train issues that I couldn't get solved in time, and the motor, it had to come back out of the truck, and it was just one of those deals with time and parts availability to make it happen. It just wasn't reality. And I was mowing over, I actually had the motor out of the car because I had it in the Malibu last year, and I didn't have anything setting put together, just ready to go. So I just the Nova, last time I had it out, it had a sour taste in my mouth and I had some issues. And I thought, well, I know, like right now, I know the car works. I know the car will go down the track. I know my drivetrain combo is solid. The motor's the only thing that worries me because it's a little tired. And the Malibu, I had actually sold all the suspension and rear end and everything out of the Malibu because I had the car sold and it just didn't work out. You can still see it sitting here behind me, but it's got stock drivetrain in it right now, so it's like that just isn't going to work. So I put everything in the Nova, and I actually had the car from the day I started on the 5th. I had the car running on the 8th, and had the car ready to start sorting things out. Which I'm glad I did it because, like I said, I really had a sour taste, and I got the car back together and finished this one, and I had several issues the last races I've been out, and all of those are resolved. I just need a not tired motor in it now. So
yeah, and you needed a win, dude. I'm telling you, that was
and like a lot of people, they're worried about, hey, I want to be first, I want to do this, I want to be on the podium. And don't get me wrong, those things are important, but I needed to finish because I'd had 3 starts with no finish, and after a while, it's like, hey, why am I doing this? And I had a rough year losing my dad last year, and he was like one of my biggest supporters as far as like, motivator. Like, come on, son, you gotta, keep pushing.
Yep.
You gotta go. You gotta do this. You gotta do that. You gotta, and losing him, that was this was for me and him.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Well, and then John Paul, I want to talk about, because you had your backup engine is actually in that car, because you're building your other engine is set to go pretty fast. So kind of tell us how the backup engine came to play, and was it just to get the car ready? Like why did you choose that one?
Yeah, so when I first got this car, I got it as a shell and didn't have an engine. And my buddy Terry Strain, who strains performance engine or competition engines, he had a used Roush Yates 358 NASCAR motor. So this is run in NASCAR Cup Series in like 07. So
cool.
everything was NASCAR spec alternator that was all silicone together so it couldn't fall apart. Still flat tap it. Everything was NASCAR on it. The only thing we did was change the carburetor, and he did 2021 Midwest drags with that motor in his Ranger. They had some issues with electronics and weren't able to win in anything in the class, but the motor did great. So then I bought it from him, put it in this Mustang, and did Sick Week with it. But it was out of power for what I was trying to do with the heads up racing I was doing up at Michigan at Milan Dragway. I was doing their Motor City Muscle Challenge. I'm still racing that. I'm actually hopefully going Saturday to race that.
Nice.
But anyway, that motor, I had an offer on it. A guy wanted to buy it, and he gave me $5,000 more than they bought it for. And I was like, I mean, old NASCAR motors they're rare. So I couldn't turn that deal down. I sold it, didn't have a motor in the car, and was registered for your race the circuit last year. And Terry's like, well, I got this Hemi-headed small block Ford you could borrow. So we thrashed on that and had it on the dyno the day before we were supposed to leave for heads up or for your race the circuit last year. And it spun a rod bearing. So didn't end up participating last year. But then that was going to be a borrowed motor.
But came all the way down there.
Yeah, I still came and had a fun time
Yep.
hanging out with people. And it was great. Met a lot of cool people and got to watch some awesome racing. But I was like, I need a backup motor, because at that point I was starting to build the 430-inch or 429-inch small block Ford for Drag Week rules. But we were ordering custom crankshaft from Winberg, and it was going to take over a year to get. So I'm like, I want to race this year. I want to have a car to race. So this motor is 396 inches. It's a backup motor, I call it. It's not junk. They're Yates C3 heads from a 90s NASCAR, an old Jack Roush intake, and Jessel shaft rockers. It's a 128 bore, and a 700 stroke. It's all used parts except for the rods. Pistons were used, block, everything was used. Old circle track stuff that Terry had laying around. And he's like, well, if you want a motor, we'll make some measurements and we'll put it together. So that was the first motor I'd ever put together. He checked my measurements and stuff for clearances, and put it together, and it makes about 750. We think it makes 686 wheel. So
that's cool, man.
It's a fun motor, but it's not the main motor I'm gonna have hopefully for Drag Week this year.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about that here in just a second. So let's run through what both of you guys ran throughout the weekend, and kind of some stories and route stops and all that kind of stuff. So start with ETs first, Stoney.
My ET was the one that was much slower than John Paul's. Now, I actually I knew going into this that I wasn't going to be competitive, just with the short timeline and everything. But I changed some stuff on the car. I ungeared it. I put a 430 gear in it, and I actually run the full week with exhaust on it. And I got the car back to 60 in within 100th of what it run with the 456 and the open exhaust. And it's my quickest pass was a 10.60. The car it went 141 60 foots all weekend, and I just couldn't complain. I had one pass where I left my thumb on the. I got a different shifter in the car than I've used before, and I left my thumb on the trigger, and I didn't stick it in high gear, and I run to the 1,000 foot in second gear, pushing it, and then finally I left my thumb off and shoved it in, and I still went a 1090 that pass, and then I printed several. When we went to the 8th mile stuff, the car was running 660, low 660s, or upper 660s, lower 670s. So it was,
Wow.
and it was the best the car had done since the changeover to fuel injection with the exhaust on it and ungearing it some, which all of those things made the car much more drivable than what it was when you rode in it, Michael.
Yeah. Listen, I'm going to tell y'all right now. He doesn't call it the gas chamber Nova for nothing.
That's actually, just to be totally honest with you, much to my surprise, with the fuel injection, that's all gone. You can breathe
That's
in the car
awesome.
driving down the road. I didn't
That's
have
awesome.
to drop Aaron off at the morgue, which I was happy because we're pretty good friends, and I
Yeah.
like having him around. So
Right. That's awesome. Well, John Paul, same question for you. What kind of ETs were you looking at all weekend?
Yeah, we ran some 980s, 970s, and then a 960 on the last day, and with the best of like a 604 in the 8th, and I think we had a 130 with a 0 60 foot.
Dude,
Which
that's awesome.
those aren't personal bests for the car, but those are personal bests for this motor. So
Yeah.
really happy with it for something that was just a bunch of used parts we threw together.
Right. And then you were, this is a question I had for later, but you were a full half second ahead of second place by the time we got to Sunday. Did you lay off any? Did you turn it up once you got back? Okay.
No, we've tried to go faster every time. The last
Okay,
day
all right.
at Mocan, we had a timing ramp in the ignition box. We pulled that out. I tightened the front struts down, or loop to hope and not wheelie, and we sent it at full timing off the line, and we raised the leave RPM. Tried to go faster. So
That's awesome. There's a good shot. Go ahead.
NA guys, we don't leave nothing in the tank. It's what we got.
Yeah. Right. There were some great shots of the cars taken all weekend. Obviously, we're going to flip through those as we tell some stories here. But this shot here, man, back at Mocan, this is a Sunday shot. So this is probably one of those times when
yes,
had that car ready to go. That's you winning the class. We'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, the car just looks like it works well, dude. Like I think you guys were one of the only. I think I probably watched 8 passes all weekend, to be honest, and 2 or 3 of those were you guys making passes. Both of y'all making passes. So the cars seem to work well.
Yeah, it separates really well, and looks like it's on stilts in that photo. So
Chris Story's asking if that's small block Ford.
yes, it is. It's never going to have an LS in it. At least not while I own it.
Yeah, that's cool. That's I can appreciate that for sure. Well, Eric, if you want to run through this next stuff, I'll bring up some of the photos and stuff we have from the weekend.
Yeah, so next is just talking about some stories from the event. Any fun stories that you guys have? Any crazy stories kind of from the weekend?
With mine, the old motor's pretty tired, and we got to Ozark, and we'd been running the car pretty hard through the evening, turning it up around anywhere from 3,000 to 3,500 going down the road, and it had blew oil all over the motor. So I actually had to pull the intake, and it blew with overturning it the first day, because I got a 8800 rev limiter, and I hit the rev limiter on that pass where going to the 1,000 foot. So I ended up having to pull the intake, and me and Aaron replaced the valley pan. It blew the gasket out of it, and it had Allen head screws in it, and the screws were actually stripped out. So I had to take a hammer and a screwdriver and drive the screws out of it and replace the valley gasket. So
did you put those back in it?
No, I did not. No, I told Aaron, I said, well, this is dumb. I said, I'm not doing that again. It'll be a note that we never put Allen head screws in the valley pan ever again.
Yeah, it may look good, but that's not the way to do that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Awesome. What about you?
Show car motors, maybe, but yeah.
Right.
What about you, John Paul? Any funny stories? Any crazy stories from the week?
I mean, I think the most fun we had is actually on Friday evening heading to Springfield to the Railhaven. We were going through a little town, and I forget the name of the gentleman. He has the really, really cool gray 55 Chevy that runs like 4s in the 8s.
Eric Kuhn.
Yep. And we met up with them. We were just pulling out of where we had dinner, and we decided to drive together, and we ended up getting to Boots Court, and he's like, "You guys want to navigate? Because we can't figure out where we're going." So we started. We left there, and he's like, "What gear do you have in the car?" I'm like, "Well, it's a 486, and we don't have an overdrive." And he's like, "You're driving 60 mile an hour with that?" I'm like, "Yeah, we're at like 4,000 RPM," and it was just fun having those guys behind us. And eventually we stopped along the road. I had smelled something that didn't smell right, and there was some other guys stopped, and I wanted to see if they needed any help. So we stopped, and it was a big shoulder. We pulled off, and they're like, "We're going to go on." And later on, we found out they started driving 70 plus mile an hour the rest of the way. So we were holding them up, but that was fun. And we did break a radiator hose right after we left Mocan.
Oh man.
And it was spraying water everywhere. Fortunately, I took all the coolant out of the car, so just water. But we stopped and kept adding water till we limped it to an AutoZone and put a new hose on it. And yeah, it was fun. We had a fright on some valve lashed the valves in the morning at the Rail Haven, and one of the valves had no lash, so that wasn't ideal. But we found out that when we did the valve job on the motor, one of the valves I messed up, and I cut the valve seat wrong, and they had a much smaller sealing area on the valve than the other ones, and it was also deeper in the head in the actual the valve seat. So that one, it just recessed more into the seat, I assume. So it took up the lash that was there. We loosened the adjuster and didn't have any more issues, but
Nice.
I'm guessing that valve seat, had some, I don't think any issues, but something wore a little bit on it. But we kept checking it after every pass or every drive, and it didn't move after that. So, but
That's cool.
I mean, the car already had a couple hundred street miles on it before this, so I don't know, something happened.
Yeah, it survived. That's half of it, right?
Yeah, that's hard. That's most of it with the NA car.
Yeah, and that's probably the hardest part. We're going to talk about that in a minute too, is because like we say it all the time. Anytime Jonathan's been on, we've talked about how violent the valve train has to be for NA stuff, because you have to. The only way you're getting more air in is with lift. Like that's the only way. The valve has to open more to get more air in, or longer or whatever, however you want to say that. So, yeah, what size like valve train do you have in that thing? Is it anything crazy? Is it pretty normal?
It's fairly normal. They're excuse me, I think they're 2 100 intake valves, and I think 1 550 exhaust valves. They're all titanium from a NASCAR from the 90s. So they're still big 11/32 stem valves, and it's about 800,000 lift on the intake. So
that's pretty big. That's pretty. I guess maybe to not some other folks would like. I mean, I'm at like 600 in the truck, so that's
I can't push air in. I have to pull it in.
Yeah, right. Well, let's talk about route stops. Did you guys have any? Was there a favorite route stop or anything like that?
I really enjoyed all of them. I'll just be honest. Probably my favorite too was the Waffle House. Just seeing all the people and how much fun they were having there, and just really the Waffle House really took care of everybody and driven as far as like feeding everybody. That's just something that is you don't see much in today. And the little stop past the Route 66 drive-in where they had all the people set out watching and the burnouts. I can't tell you how much fun that was to watch, how much joy we were giving them, because
that's awesome.
What we do, it's like we could never get close to paying for anything we do. You could win every drag and drive all year, and it wouldn't pay for nothing. And
it would pay for the fuel to get to them.
So for the media we had, the pictures we've had for the last 2 weeks, the smiles and the stuff we've seen from adults and kids and everything, that means everything to me. That's all I can ask for. And then just to see all the comments and everything, that how much fun that everybody's had, that's why I'm just glad to be a part of this event, because it's so much fun.
Well, I appreciate you saying that for sure. That's a big compliment. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about some competitors. What?
Hold on.
Oh, sorry.
John Paul's got to talk about his route stops.
Sorry, Jonathan started talking good about me, and I had to get off of that subject.
I would agree with Jonathan. They were all great route stops. We missed the daytime on the ones on Route 66 on the way back. So the drive-in and the little gas station, because we drove back to close to Mocan on Saturday evening after the racer party at the go-kart track.
Being in a car, that's a good plan. I just didn't do it.
Well, the cool air was nice.
Yes.
And it gave us more time to fix stuff if we broke down, because we were leading our class.
Yes,
and I was like,
absolutely.
I wanted to have more time, but
that's good strategy. You did good.
Thank you. But I just think, honestly, just spending time with race car friends, like go-karting was so much fun. And I mean, the fact that the event provided dinner on Thursday, which we didn't make because we were still on the way there, but like the pizza and then the Waffle House, just the fact that, you went so far to make it so friendly and so nice for racers. That was just, that's amazing. So gives me a lot to work on for my event. So
we had a ton of fun, and I'll tell you, it was probably the pizzas really I want everybody to understand, like I ordered 75 pizzas the day before at Domino's in Branson. I called them. I'm like, hey, listen, I want 40 done here and 35 done here. And they were like, no problem. Let's go. We're ready. And Melissa drove down, picked up the pizza. I'm telling y'all, they were gone in 3 minutes. If it was 3 minutes, it would have surprised me. The first 40 demolished. That to me made all of that worth it. Like,
I never seen the first round of pizza.
Yeah, we were in a go-kart race when they got there, and when we got out of the go-kart race, they were gone.
Yeah, the go-kart races were 6 minutes.
I seen them. I seen the pizzas, but I didn't get to them.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. And then the second round, I mean, I think everybody took care of the first round pretty easy. Like folks that got pizza in the first round let people have them in the second. It lasted about 15 or 20 minutes, but it was just awesome to be able to have that opportunity to, because that was my biggest thing with a regional event like that is I like food. I like to eat when I'm out places like that at new spots that we would never really have. And the Waffle House was great. Billy Nobles and the team at Waffle House, you were amazing for matching Driven. Driven's amazing. That was, them coming on board, being part of the brand and the program, and then also having that idea. Huge, man. I mean, we fed $500 worth of people at Waffle House Saturday morning of a Dragon Drive. And so Eric stayed to get photos and things like that and media coverage for the Drag Driver Pete brand. But dude, I left. The only people that were there was Brian Acton, and then Mike Anger had come in, and Jack Crawford, and a few more people, Jim Hopping and some folks. But we were gone before anybody really showed up.
Yeah.
I was messaging Eric. I'm like, dude, are there people there? But please tell me people show up. Because they called in like the Christmas Day coverage for Waffle House. And he's like, you can't walk in the parking lot, dude. I was like, yes.
Yeah, they were parked. It was amazing. They were parked in where the Subway and pizza place was next door. Awesome. And then the place next to that, there was cars parked. So
yeah, it was really cool. And to be able to, like we've had 205 people at Chicken Annie's. Dude, I'd never, ever in my wildest dreams imagine we'd have that many people.
You were talking like 75 is what you thought.
Yeah. So she put up a room that was 128 folks. And I was like, we'll never fill this. Thinking people would roll in, and we filled both of those rooms and then two more areas in the thing. And they, as a staff, just knocked it out of the park too. A lady named Janice works in the back. She was hopping. Anytime I walked by there, that lady was working hard frying that chicken. It was amazing. So, all right. Well, enough about the food stuff, because man, I'm telling you, that's going to be something new. So John Paul Franks, get ready. We're going to work with some local breakfast places for your event too, which Heads Up Hustle. We're going to work with that and see if we can get some folks kind of come on that side too as well. But let's talk about like what you guys did. Did you guys stay at the hotels? What was your night plans there? I guess John Paul didn't for the second night. He drove back. But Stoney, what about you?
I stayed at the host hotels because I really enjoy getting to visit with everybody. It's just a lot of fun. And then there's only a few times a year some of the guys I get to see, You know,
Yeah.
a lot of them, they travel in for this, and this is my only time to get to spend time with them. We all have such busy lives trying to make ends meet so we can do this. So I did go ahead and stay at the hotels and hit the parking lots and hung out with everybody, and I had some really great conversations with Joel and Todd Kitchen and just everybody. I if I went to labeling everybody here, I would be here all night about the amount of fun we had. It's just, you know,
Yeah. How did Aaron feel that next morning
uh,
after the
so
stop after the razor
so
break?
so Aaron was good. I'll tell you this: I've co-piloted for Aaron. His car's as obnoxious as mine. So he was when he actually invited me to go do the King of the Open Road in 22 with him, and I did. And then he invited me to do the King of the Open Road, which got canceled last weekend. And I was like,
Mhm.
man, I don't have a co-pilot, so I just called him and said, hey, dude, you want to go do the circuit with me? I said, as of right now, I don't have a co-pilot, and I said, I know you live in your car, you can live in mine, and me and him, we traveled good together, and he's we had a lot of fun. We need a voice recorder because we wear headphones while we're driving, and if you had the conversations that we had while we're driving, it would make some people blush, but other people they would be like, "There's something wrong with those guys."
Oh man. Yeah. We definitely need that. We need some I need to
We'll
figure out how to do that. How do we live
we'll
stream the conversations on the
we'll,
road?
we'll work on getting
I don't
some
think
kind
you
of
can
voice
live
recorder.
stream them.
There's some of them you cannot.
Demonetized.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I seen John. You guys wore headsets as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I have some old aviation headsets and an aviation intercom, and we plug everything in, and it works fairly well. It's not anywhere
Yeah.
near as rugged radios, but it works and it keeps you from going deaf.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, and that's
Yep.
a big part, you know what I mean? Especially again, back to the naturally aspirated stuff. It's so loud. That stuff is so loud all the time because of the camshafts that you need. Well, we talked a little bit about a struggle, you know, John Paul having the I'm not even gonna say that was a struggle, having the one with no lash, but any other struggles from the weekends for you guys? From the weekend for you guys?
Not really.
No.
It went pretty well.
It's great.
Yeah,
Don't-
that's always a good thing.
The only struggle I had was not winning. You know.
Dude, you'd have had to go a full second faster.
John texts me and he goes, "What? Second's okay." But I was fourth.
Yeah. That's exactly right. Yeah, that's right. Well, I see a lot of folks talking about headphones in the
Yes.
chat down there. We probably need to start. We need to start working on some company for that too, some kind of discount or something.
Seriously,
For the
guys, for
for the
ride
group.
and drive, they are a game changer. Aaron
Yeah.
introduced me to them, and I'd already talked about it with Jim Baker because they wear with him and Frankie, they wear headsets with the Pro Mod card and stuff, and you can talk to the driver from outside the car. And we're actually thinking about like having it where if we have 3, 4, 5 cars traveling in our group where we all wear headsets so we can all communicate.
Oh
That's
yeah,
cool.
That'd be
that would
sweet.
be
Yeah.
a lot of fun. That would be a lot
Yeah.
of fun for sure. Well, let's talk about. I want to pivot just a little bit and talk to John Paul about the heads up hustle deal because obviously dude, coming down here, running over the class in a all motor small block at the circuit, that's got to feel good. And now it's like game time for promotion for heads up hustle. I do want to give a huge pat on your back for the social media stuff that you guys have done with the event. It's amazing. It is inspiring for Eric and I'm sending him stuff all the time. Like, man, look how great this looks, dude. We gotta do that. So talk to us about the event dates, you know, where it's going to be, tracks, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
And
well,
Rick-
thank you for that. But the big credit for the social media goes to Asher and Ezra McKenna. There's some neighbors of mine. They did photos and video at the event, and I hired them to help me do posts. And they're amazing. They do a great job with that.
Yeah.
That's most of it's not me, so I don't want to take credit for that. But so Heads Up Hustle is a 3-day Friday, Saturday, Sunday drag and drive. It's July 26th, 27th, and 28th. We start at Mile and Dragway in just south and a little bit west of Detroit. and we'll be there in the morning, drive up to mid-Michigan. That evening, we'll spend the night at the Edmore Hotel, which is a few minutes from the track. Saturday morning, we'll be at mid-Michigan, race there, head back down towards Detroit. And then Sunday morning, we'll have one pass for basically a shakedown pass that won't count to the average because days should back up. Friday and Saturday, we average those passes together.
Mm-hmm.
And then we basically just set elimination ladders based on that. The index classes will not be set on those averages.
But based on their average. Yeah. You said that. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's I love the format of that. I think that's really cool. It's a great way to bring in some heads up stuff to also into drag and drive because you're racing for your best average, but you're also because you need your best average so you can be higher on that ladder.
Correct. And the cool thing, excuse me, that we're going to do, we'll see how it works out, is the index classes. We're actually going to qualify them not on their average. We're going to qualify them on the best reaction time from Friday and Saturday. So if you go 001, you're probably going to be the number one qualifier, maybe probably for sure get a first round bye in the index classes. So you could be in the 13.0 index and, maybe you don't have a 13.0 car, but if you can go 00, or just have a good reaction time, you could qualify really high. So
that's awesome. I like
we'll see if that works out.
That's cool. Yeah. And that's one thing that's great about regional stuff is like we're all figuring this out together.
Yeah.
There's really nothing. I mean, like there's no wrong way to do this. So, and I think that's going to be a lot of fun. So you got the tracks. I've never been to mid-Michigan. Been to Milan, obviously, with Back to the Streets. And then I'll be there later that year for Drag Week. So Milan is actually the most visited track of drag and drive in 2024, which is crazy. And then because Jim Parkinson was our quickest 8th mile racer, he gets free entry into Heads Up Hustle, right?
Correct. Also, Brian Acton is the fastest quarter mile, gets a free entry as well. And they're from Michigan. So really hope they can make it. Sorry, there's bugs outside here. But they both can get free entry to Heads Up Hustle. Hopefully they can make it. Both of those cars are amazing cars. Jim's car it probably would destroy our small tire class if he'd enter it, but we'll see if they can make the drive up. So
yeah, that'd be awesome. Well, hopefully Brian and them can make the drive down. I mean, you guys are pretty close to each other. I think they typically race at Martin, right? 131.
I believe so. Also, I know they go out to mid-Michigan for testing as well.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be perfect. Yeah. And those guys, I mean, they just have it dialed in. Well, what classes are set up for Heads Up Hustle?
So we have unlimited, which basically anything goes. We've got a stick shift class. We have NA small block, NA big block classes. We have a daily driver class, which we require you to have heat and air if your car had factory heat and air, and a full interior. We have a hard tire, street tire class. We have a full-size pickup truck class, so that requires no S10s, no Dakotas, no Rangers, but full-size trucks.
Nice.
Also, full-size SUVs would be allowed in that as well. Then we've got a motorcycle class, and then our 10.0, 1150, and 13.0 indexes.
Oh, that's cool. I like the 1150. That's a good idea. What's your tread wear rating on the hard tire?
I believe 200, and it needs to be not a drag radial, so it can't be Mickey Thompson ET Street SS or a Nitto, NT555R2 or whatever that one is. So
yeah, I think that's probably what we're going to go to for the circuit 2025 as well as the 200 tread wear, just because 250 is pretty tough. I'm either going to go to 200 or 300. I either want like a burnout master tire, like 700 tread wear tire, or we're going to make it a little more competitive. I want to kind of follow some rules. 200 seems to be the hard tire class at most events.
So you're still working on the Outlaw 185 class? The little 185 radial.
Yeah, 185. That would be a fun class, and it can only be it's big block 185. That's what we're doing.
Big block twin turbo.
Yeah. It's only dual power adder. Doesn't matter. You have to have nitrous and a turbo, or nitrous and a supercharger, and it's a 185 tire. 180.
Just 300, 1,320 feet of burnouts.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
Please get out of the groove. Please do not run in the groove.
I wanted to bring this comment up from earlier. If Scott Story's still watching, he wanted to know if you were running a stick shift class because of your logo, but that is your logo for your event.
Correct. This car is not a stick. It's a Turbo 400, but Heads Up Hustle does have a stick shift class.
Yeah.
And Carl Balzer with Hidden Motorsports won that last year. And
Yep.
the cool thing actually about Carl, he has his event called No Half Sends. It's an Australian style burnout competition, drifting, a car show, and a street car shootout. Excuse me. But his event is happening on the last day of Heads Up Hustle at Mile and Dragway. So
Yes.
Heads Up Hustle racers can get big discount to get into his race, and you're already going to be there. You're already going to have admission, because you're already going to be at the track. So I'm excited to take my car and run in the street car shootout with it. I'm not running my own event in any small block, but I will be trying to run it in the street car shootout that he's got and any grudge races anyone wants to run. So
That's
Nice.
awesome. Well, I will tell you from racing at my own event in the past, it's too hard. It's too hard, dude. It's way too hard. It's
Plus, it's a little bit of a conflict of interest, especially when you got a car that's competitive like John's.
yeah.
oh yeah, for sure. Mine was not, but John's is.
Oh, we know yours wasn't.
Yeah. Did you see the bus links? It was like the shot of you doing this was like that was the replay of yours.
Do you guys remember that time that me and Michael raced?
Yeah, and I was out like 17 bus links on him by the 60-foot. I left, and then he waited, and then left 2 years later.
Chris Story was asking what cubic inch your car was.
It's a 396-inch motor right now.
Okay. And then he also asked who he needs to email for media for Heads Up Hustle.
It's draganddrive@gmail.com. It's our event's email address. You can go to headsuphustle.com and click the contact tab, and that email is right there.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I would love for him to do that. That would be kind of fun for him.
I'd love to have Chris there. That'd be super awesome.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, it'd be great. Yeah, we're talking about. It'd be great for him to be there, and then I'm trying to nudge Eric into coming over as well. So
Yeah, I have it on my calendar of events to see if I can make that one,
sweet.
since it's
Yeah,
not too far away.
Yep, it'd be great, and him and I get in the tower, dice it up a little bit on the microphones and all that kind of
That'd
stuff.
be awesome.
Dude, this will be the first time. I've talked to a lot of people here, but talking over the microphone in front of all of those people at Heads Up Hustle could be a whole different ball game. But you're nice enough to let me do that, and I appreciate that. It makes me anxious every time I think about it.
You're going to do a great job.
I mean,
You don't have to talk 100% of the time.
Whatever. I'm gonna talk 110% of the
I was gonna say, have you met Mike before?
Yeah, they'll be like, shut that dude up, please, until like that and stop talking. He's talking in circles. All right. Well, one of the biggest reasons you guys are on here is naturally aspirated stuff. I want to talk about that for probably in the next 8 or 10 minutes, and then we're already over our 2 hours, so I want to kind of get into this pretty quick. But one of the conversations that kind of led me into this was John Paul was talking in the lobby at I think it was the night before or maybe the morning of, talking about big cubic inch, small block setups and kind of the way, all of that works. Obviously, I don't understand much of that stuff, but you were talking about the 434 cubic inch limit. Do you guys kind of want to dig into that? Like, does anybody know why that was chosen? Is that just like a magic number, or is that some kind of, I don't understand why the 434 when you can make, John Paul's talking about like 500 cubic inch small block stuff.
I think it's
that
430 inches, but
430.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So
go ahead,
I
Jonathan.
think that's okay. I think that just become a thing that come into play because the affordable combos that you can get for used stuff, there's a lot of that out there. But like with John Paul, he's working on some stuff, and I'm actually working on a 460 inch old school small block combo, and it just happened to be I got the stuff is a budget buy. Everything I do is somebody's hand me downs, so it just happened to be what I get, and the architecture it plays into a certain effect, but if you make the power with less weight, that's and I've done the big block NA thing, but the big block NA cars are so much faster, like with the guys with Jimmy Lopez and Eric Enzer and the Sea Red Camaro and the Sweets. Those cars, to be somebody in that class now, if you don't have a 7-second car, you're not a player. But as far as like guys like me and John and the regular guys, if you put your mind to it, you can still do a combo that's capable of running 8s that'll run what our chassis certs do. I talked to John about this. I'd consider doing another short block so I would be small block legal. I don't know. It's just that's just where it splits. But I don't know what the future of the class holds or whatever. I think that for the most part, they'll probably keep the cubic inch thing, because if you allow the big cubic inch stuff to come in, you're going to see the small block stuff go crazy, and it'll become a 7-second class as well. Because you take a 500-inch small block, it's a good 200 to 300 pounds lighter than a big block and makes almost the same power. So
and you've got to get a custom billet block or something to build it anyway.
Everything. You
can't use a stock style block.
No, and that stuff. The big block stuff has already went that way. Like Ed Enzer's car is a conventional 632, but the other two cars, one's a 700-inch and the other one's a Sweet's car is like I don't even know if it's even 3-digit number. It may be a 4-digit number. So
it's got like,
and I'm not trying to take away from what they're. I'm not trying to take away from what they're doing. I think it's great. I love it.
There's no limit on cubic inch for big blocks.
No, there's not.
If you could build a 1,500 cubic inch big block, more power to you, I guess.
My thing about it is my budget doesn't allow that. I was trying to figure out how to tap into John's piggy bank to get some of his leftovers. So
yeah, but it's Ford stuff.
I don't care. It doesn't matter.
Put a Ford in your Nova. That'd be cool.
I put a Ford in my Nova. My thing about it is your cylinder head flow and stuff is what makes a NA deal. The architecture doesn't mean anything to me. If it'll keep the rods and pistons inside the block, I don't care what it is. I like it. So
nice. Yeah. What kind of RPM, like, obviously Tab Scott holds the NA small block record. Like what kind of RPMs is he seeing? Why is that car, I would say, I mean, that car's almost 0.6 faster than what John Paul's ran this weekend. I mean, it's he's in the 70.
He's a second faster than me.
He's a second faster.
Yeah.
So
you want to know why? It's because he tests and he put the hours in to make the combo work. That's what it is. He works hard, guys. Like that's what it takes on an NA combo. And if you're not willing to put in some time and hours, you can go and not be competitive. But the guys that you're going to see up front, they're going to be the guys that put the time in. I mean, it's just like John's combo is great, and I'm glad to see a Ford. We've seen several cars that have run in the 9s, but I'm glad to see a Ford out there because there's nothing wrong with that stuff. And like what John said, all the stuff that we're going to be using is basically going to be left over from NASCAR, or it's going to be like mine's the X Sprint car motor. And then it was turned into a high-end drag race motor, but it's the cylinder heads are left over from sprint car stuff.
They're great cylinder heads for cheap, really.
Absolutely, that's the whole deal. Like what I paid for my cylinder heads is what some people pay for their crankshaft.
Wow.
I've got less in my whole motor than what some people actually pay for cylinder heads. So
that's crazy. And that typically, because those guys are running at like a higher RPM, they're needing all the flow, they're doing all the research to have that airflow.
Yeah.
So what kind of RPMs are you looking at with a small block NA setup?
It all depends on your camshaft, really.
Yeah, that's I don't know what Jason's motor turns. I'm going to guess somewhere in the 8s. Mine's a small motor. Mine's 360 inches, and I turned mine 8200. That's what you have to do to make a 360-inch motor. And my combo could use some more research. I mean, it's unported heads. Not making excuses, guys. It's just what I had to work with. And there's lots of better stuff out there. Mac coatings. Matt Coding's 427 combo in his car, he's just starting to scratch the surface. John's, I mean, this is John's first race he's completed. His car's
Yep.
going to get faster.
Yeah.
You know, so and same with Matt's. But the thing about it is, you're hitting a moving target because Jason's car is going to get faster too. He's not sitting
Jason's
around.
building an SB 2.2, so a NASCAR
Right.
headed small block
Yeah.
Chevy.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he's going to get faster.
He has a 750 K to 25.5 cage in his car now. He's trying to run low eights.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah,
that'll be wild.
pretty cool.
My old NASCAR motor turned 9,600 through the traps, but that was a 358, and it just wanted the RPM. The more we revved it, the more we moved the rev limiter up, the better it ran. So, my new motor, I think we're shooting for a peak RPM of 9,000 with shifting around 82, 8,300. But we'll put on the engine dyno and see where it makes peak power, and then we'll know from there.
And as John knows, that's most of doing NA stuff. It's building a good combo and then sorting it out. It's not buy the biggest cylinder head, buy this, buy that. It's you have to have stuff that works together. Like, John's combo is a good solid combo, and that's why it runs like it does. And like the C3 heads are proven. They're not nothing new.
Yep.
So,
well, NASCAR heads are designed to run wide open for over 500 miles.
Yeah.
Or 600 miles in the Coca-Cola 600. So like and they don't rebuild them after every race. They do now probably, but they didn't back in the day.
That's interesting. Yeah, and I mean, I guess it's so it takes me back to you turning 4,000 RPMs on your drive. That motor's like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, I know John's is probably the same as mine. Mine comes out of the camshaft about 2,900. Anything below 2,900, mine's still going.
It won't drive well. It's ridiculous. You got to go faster.
Right.
Wow. That's
so
awesome.
I had to back mine down on the drive to about 3,000, so it wasn't blowing oil all over all the other cars. But mine smoothed out, and the car was actually better at 3,500. Just like with John's. John probably took a little bit of time in the car and figured out 4,000 is where the car smooths out and everything's happy, and you can actually, even with your headphones on, you can actually hear the harmonics of the car, and you just kind of melt into it, and it makes it where you
find
can
its happy
tell what's going
spot,
on.
really.
Yes, exactly.
I think Chandler said it. You just become one with the vibration.
Well, you do.
Then you hear something and you don't know what it is, and you get weirded out about valve springs and stuff.
Yeah.
What's funny is like Chandler learned and you learned, there's lots of noises that don't mean nothing, but there's some noises that are a big deal. You're like, oh, hang on. Like, when me and you pulled over, I could hear a high pitched squeak, and it was the wheel bearing. Like most people, like if you weren't tuned in the car, like I don't know if you even heard it, but I could hear and so I pulled over, and it was, it's just the stuff that you tune into.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I wasn't hearing anything but my own brain shake around.
Something I was going to bring up is there's an engine builder called ZSR Engines that I've seen on Facebook. They built a 429-inch small block Ford with their, I guess they're called their Bischoff Racing's heads, their SC2 heads, I believe what they call them, and it made 1,042 horsepower at 8,000 RPM. So that's 2.43 horsepower per cubic inch, and that's going to be in a drag and drive this year. I don't know who owns it. Wow. I saw a post that ZSR Engines. They even showed it on the dyno, and it's a drag and drive motor. So I don't know. The guy said ZSR. They said it'd make over 1,100 if they put a more aggressive cam on it, but so that's what everyone's gonna have to go up against. I don't know who owns that motor, but that car, if they can spend the time to get it dialed in, it'll go fast.
Did you
say ZSR?
Yeah, ZSR Engines on Facebook.
Yeah,
if you scroll down, you'll
made
see
some
them.
notes there. We're going to find out. We're going to ask.
I want to know. I'm assuming it's going in a Ford, but I want to know who has it. But it's not been.
I
posted.
wish it was going in a Nova.
Right. Yeah. Well, last couple of questions here. How do we continue to grow the NA side of drag and drive racing? How do we? What's y'all's suggestion on how we continue to grow that side and show people that they don't have to have some kind of crazy big, boosted engine to compete?
my thing is you're going to have to find people with low IQ that really want to spend a lot of money and go slower than the other
low
guys.
IQ and don't like
Yeah.
money.
Yeah,
Perfect.
and then
There's a lot of those guys in the car world.
Right.
Also, you got to find lazy people who don't want to do the fab work for Turbo Kit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah,
That's awesome.
it's like
Fair enough.
Oh,
people
I think
come
I'd
over and
rather spend 40,000 on an engine than put a turbo kit in this thing.
people come over and they probably look at mine and John's car and they go, "Where's your nitrous?" I've actually had that. Where's the nitrous? And I'm like, I don't have any. Or this car's not turbocharged, and I'm like, you can't tell by the way it sounds. It's like those people are holding their ears when they walked off. And it's like,
Yeah, hold on. Let me get down there and listen real close.
I was at Milan Dragway after I ran my first 9.0 with my old motor, and I was in the pits changing the car over, getting ready to make another pass, and someone came over and said, "How many pounds of boost you running?" I'm like, "None."
None.
I was looking.
It's got zero boost or vacuum.
I was gonna say I was looking. It was still at like 0.5 pound of vacuum.
Yeah, negative.
Negative.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for coming on tonight. And John Paul, I can't wait to come hang out, dude. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for coming down to the circuit. Thank you for telling stories tonight. But thanks for coming down and just hanging out, dude. It was awesome to see and see the car out. It seemed to work well, and all the pictures that was there. It's just so good looking, especially with the big banner on the door and everything like that. So super cool, man.
Thank you. That motor will be for sale this fall. So
Nice, nice.
Hit me up if you want some more details on it. So
right. All right. Well, cool. Well, guys, we're a little over, obviously 2 hours, 15 minutes tonight, a little longer show tonight, but we've never had this many guests on. I thank you all for telling fun stories and all that kind of stuff. We got to get this thing shut down. So,
All
Thanks,
right.
guys.
Yep.
See you guys.
take care. Thank you, guys.
Yep.
All right. Thanks. See you. Awesome. Dude, what a great show, man.
Yeah, there's
Really
a
had
lot
a
of
lot of fun tonight.
yeah, a lot of conversations, a lot of stories. Reminiscing about the circuit that just happened a couple weeks ago. That feels like it's been
Yeah.
a while ago.
Yeah, I was saying, it feels like it like 6 months, but also feels like yesterday.
Yes, yes.
So,
I don't know
all
what that means, but I feel exactly the same way.
right. All right. Well, let's thank our last round of race car friends and of course our sponsors. If you'll do that, we'll get this thing shut down.
Yep, absolutely. Once again, guys, we can't do this without you. Thanks to all of our race car friends, everybody in here commenting, everybody that will be listening to the podcast. Tell your friends. Let's invite more people. Send them to the Facebook group, the Drag Drive Repeat hashtag Race Car Friends group. Let's get that growing. And of course, we can't do this without our sponsors: Summit Racing Equipment, Driven Racing Oil, Molly Motorsports, Car Chains 3D, Howard's Cam, Performabuilt Transmissions, Sweet Patina Racing Junk, and our newest media partner, Power Tube TV. We will see you guys on the next Drag Drive Repeat show.
See you guys. Sweet.